Chapter 581. Wang Daoyuan brought Zhou Wan back to the Jade Spring Peak. With Zhou Wan's intelligence agency there, the changes in Zhao couldn't be hidden from him. Whether it was at Wuxia Pass or the hinterland of Zhao, there were no battles between golden core cultivators. The three major sects were still hiding like turtles, but the long-legged prince's tactics had changed. They no longer attacked the heavily guarded markets and important industries, but instead intercepted the three major sects' transport ships. The markets at the rear weren't afraid, as they had enough resources, so there wouldn't be any problems in the short term. However, the front lines at Wuxia Pass were having a hard time. A war at the national level consumed a lot of resources. Once there was a problem with the supplies at the rear, the three major sects wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Wang Daoyuan wasn't too worried, as the three major sects' hidden strength hadn't been exposed yet. It was still unknown who would emerge victorious. Half a year later, good news came from the family. The 12th uncle's cultivation had reached the peak of the Violet Palace realm. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed to hear the news. He hadn't wasted his resources for so many years. Now that his cultivation had reached the peak of the Violet Palace realm, all that was left was to comprehend the laws. The 12th uncle's talent was needless to say. It wouldn't be long before the Wang family had another golden core cultivator. He didn't have a special constitution, so he would only have to face 9 golden core heavenly tribulations. The Wang family had no difficulty dealing with 9 golden core heavenly tribulations with their grade 4 magic artifacts. As long as he could form the embryonic form of the golden core, he wouldn't have to worry about the tribulation. As for forming the embryonic form of the golden core, the 12th uncle had an 8-inch and 7-part water spirit root. Although it wasn't a 100% success rate like the heavenly spirit root, the success rate should still be 80 to 90%. As long as he could comprehend the power of the laws, it wouldn't be a big deal even if he failed to form the golden core. Failing to form the golden core didn't cause too much damage to the body. With the Azure Dragon Pearl providing a huge amount of vitality, he could try again in a few years. Wang Daoyuan had already arranged the duties of 12th uncle after he formed his Azoth core. He would replace 5th granduncle as the head steward of the administrator's mansion and manage the daily affairs of the mansion. With the 12th uncle in charge of the administrator's mansion, 5th uncle could also put down his burden and focus all his energy on improving his cultivation. Right now, he wasn't too far away from the late-stage Zifu realm, and he was only a little over 300 years old. With sufficient resources, there was hope for him to form his gold core within 30 years. Then there were the 3rd brother Wang Daochang, the 27th brother Wang Daojian, and Wang Mingshan. The 3 of them had sufficient purple rhythm pills and tier 3 hidden cloud tea. Below him was his grandnephew, Wang Dezhao, who was already at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm and was not far from the peak of the Foundation Establishment realm. He was a cultivator with 2 spirit roots, and his main spirit root was the 8.5-inch fire spirit root. Wang Daoyuan had even given him part of the cultivation technique that true Lord 100 Spirits had left behind. Given his talent, cultivation technique, and sufficient resources, it wasn't strange for the phenomenon of a divine beast to appear when he was establishing his Violet Palace realm. Moreover, this child was rather sensible. He had offered up the crucial Heart Sutra of clouds and rain, so he had to be nurtured properly no matter what. Unfortunately, the Gui water hell flame could burn one's divine sense and soul, so it wasn't suitable for comprehending the water-type laws. Fortunately, there was the dragonfish corpse. The dragonfish was similar to the black dragon, so it was very helpful for comprehending the water-type laws. In the following days, the 12th uncle went into seclusion at the dragonfish corpse in the secret treasure vault. If there were any questions, Wang Daoyuan could use his divine sense to explain to him without leaving the cave abode's door. When Wang Daoyuan was comprehending the laws back then, he had Zhou Wan's guidance and divine flames as a reference. In just half a year, he had comprehended the fire laws. The 12th uncle had the dragonfish's pseudo-dragon ball, and Wang Daoyuan, a mid-stage golden core cultivator, had explained everything. Therefore, he was treated better than Wang Daoyuan back then. A year later, the 12th uncle lived up to everyone's expectations and successfully comprehended the water-type laws. During this year, the battles in various parts of the Zhao kingdom were very boring. The three major sects were determined to be cowards. Apart from the resources sent to Wuxia Pass, which were escorted by many flying warships, the other industries that were besieged had to rely on themselves to withstand the attacks. The three major sects' mountain gates and various industries were separated and could only rely on the resources in their inventory to hold on. The long-legged prince's forces weren't much better. Although they occupied many industries, they didn't have the manpower to develop them. When the three major sects gave up these industries, they took everything they could and destroyed everything they couldn't. It would take at least 10 years to recover these industries. The long-legged prince didn't have the manpower or the time to recover the industries. Their resources were mainly transported from Linhai Prefecture. This route required them to cross the Sky Chop mountain range, so they suffered great losses. According to Zhou Wan's information, the Song kingdom wasn't doing well either. All the experts in the kingdom had been pulled to Wuxia Pass, and the Song kingdom had become a paradise for itinerant cultivators. They often attacked various industries, and the neighboring countries often came to take advantage of them. The Song kingdom's resources were basically from their inventory. At this point in the war, both sides were very cautious. It was a competition of resources. A large number of itinerant cultivators had entered South Yen County, so there were naturally many who caused trouble. However, the itinerant cultivators who caused trouble were all killed by Wang Daoyuan's soul-chasing bees. After killing the chickens to warn the monkeys, the itinerant cultivators became very obedient. South Yen County was peaceful, and Wang Daoyuan had enough energy to protect the 12th uncle. After the 12th uncle comprehended the water-attributed laws, he walked out of the underground treasury and returned to his cave abode. Wang Daoyuan prepared 9 inferior grade tier for defensive Dharma artifacts and some healing pills. When Xiao Qin arrived at the 12th uncle's cave abode, he handed the items to him and asked, "12th uncle, how are your preparations?" When forming the core, qi and blood are extremely important. They have to meet the requirements. The 12th uncle took the items and waved his hand. "Don't worry. Although I'm not as talented as you, I'm still a genius. I've consumed a huge amount of resources over the years, and if I still can't meet the requirements for forming the core, then I'll be too useless." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "All right then. First, let these Dharma artifacts recognize you as their master. Later, you can use them to withstand the heavenly tribulation. I'll take care of the rest." The 12th uncle nodded and did not say anything else. Then, Wang Daoyuan instructed the third brother to evacuate the family. The Wang family only had one Tier 4 spirit vein, Jade Spring Peak. Naturally, the core formation had to be done there. As the main spirit mountain of the Wang family, Jade Spring Peak had many cultivators and ordinary people living there. Once the 12th uncle succeeded in forming the core, he would definitely trigger the heavenly tribulation. No living creatures could be left in the area covered by the heavenly tribulation. The family members and spirit beasts were temporarily moved to Clear Sky Peak. The Clear River carps in the Jade Dragon Spring were also moved to the Sleeping Bow Pond at the foot of the mountain. The array formation was also affected and needed to be closed. On the other hand, the array formation at the bottom of the Earth Fire Room was already more than 30 kilometers away from the Jade Dragon Spring, so it did not need to be closed for the time being. After all the preparations were done, the 12th uncle began to meditate and cultivate beside the Jade Dragon Spring. A few days later, a spiritual aura wind started to appear on Jade Spring Peak. It gradually became stronger and turned into a spiritual aura vortex. However, the grade of the Jade Spring Peak's spirit vein was rather high now and the spiritual aura was abundant. The spiritual aura vortex was only 100 meters in size. Wang Daoyuan also ordered the administrator's office to issue an order to kill anyone who came within 150 kilometers of the Jade Spring Peak. Previously, he had already intimidated the group of loose cultivators by making an example out of them. Therefore, no one dared to come within 150 kilometers of the Jade Spring Peak. Half a year later, a golden core projection with a diameter of 6 inches and 8 centimeters appeared in the sky above the 12th uncle. Although it was inferior to Wang Daoyuan's 9-inch golden core and Zhou Wan's 7-inch golden core, it was already comparable to some cultivators with heavenly spirit roots. Once the golden core projection appeared, the heavenly tribulation was about to descend. Soon, a dark cloud appeared directly above the Jade Dragon Spring. The dark cloud quickly expanded and eventually grew to a diameter of 20 kilometers. The 12th uncle didn't have a special constitution and only had 9 core formation heavenly tribulations. A tribulation cloud with a diameter of 20 kilometers was already not small. The heavenly tribulation only covered a diameter of 10 kilometers, which was much smaller than expected. The earth fire room wouldn't be affected. Chapter 582. Wang Daoyuan retreated 5 kilometers away from the Jade Dragon Spring and stood guard in the sky to prevent anyone from causing trouble. At the same time, he sent a message to his third brother, asking him to bring his clansmen with potential and wait near the Jade Spring Peak. The gift of heaven and earth after the heavenly tribulation could heal the hidden injuries in a cultivator's body and increase their potential to a certain extent. Cultivators who had reached a bottleneck would have a chance to break through the bottleneck after receiving the gift of heaven and earth. Anyway, the 12th uncle could not absorb all of it. It would be a pity to waste it. 5th great uncle also rushed back from Clear Glass City. He was the next to form his core, so he naturally had to accumulate experience. The Thunder Ape and Yun-Yi, the 2 fellows who did not wake up early without benefits, sensed the heavenly tribulation and rushed to the vicinity of the Jade Spring Peak. Yun-Yi was carrying Big Black on her back. Over the years, the cultivators of the demon-slaying division had killed many rank 3 demonic beasts, including many wolf-type demonic beasts. Naturally, they had obtained a lot of blood essence. Wang Daoyuan also helped Big Black refine some bloodline pills. Now, Big Black was only a step away from becoming a high-grade rank 2 spirit beast. Apart from these people, Wang Daoyuan also sent a message to the spirit-devouring beast, asking him to guard Fallen Dragon Ridge and guard against demonic beasts. Once the gift of heaven and earth appeared, many demons would be interested. Not long after, the blue-white lightning descended from the sky. The 12th uncle read the core formation insights of a few people and understood the heavenly tribulation very well. He was already prepared. He had already taken out a defensive Dharma artifact to withstand the lightning. The power of the first 3 heavenly tribulations was only a so-so. A Dharma artifact could withstand all of them. It was not until the 5th heavenly tribulation descended that the first Dharma artifact was destroyed. The 12th uncle suffered some minor injuries. The 6th heavenly tribulation directly destroyed a defensive Dharma artifact. Before the 7th heavenly tribulation descended, he ate a healing pill and meditated. He used 2 Dharma artifacts to withstand the 7th and 8th heavenly tribulations. He used 3 Dharma artifacts to withstand the last heavenly tribulation. The low-grade rank 4 defensive Dharma artifacts were still a little weak. The 3 Dharma artifacts were all destroyed and the 12th uncle was charred black. However, he did not suffer any serious injuries and was still alive and kicking. Of the 9 natal Dharma artifacts, 5 had been completely destroyed, while the other 4 had been severely damaged by the heavenly tribulation. There was still some value in repairing them. At this moment, the heavenly might emitted by the tribulation clouds had already disappeared, and the dark clouds were beginning to transform into golden clouds. The heavenly tribulation had passed, and all that was left was the gift of heaven and earth. The Jade Spring Peak was less than 5,000 kilometers away from the Heavenly/Mountain Range's main range. At this distance, it would definitely alarm those rank 4 demonic beasts. To the Wang clan, the demonic beasts were the true test. A quarter of an hour later, the tribulation clouds completely transformed into golden clouds, and golden raindrops fell from the sky. Without Wang Daoyuan's permission, no one dared to approach. These golden raindrops were all absorbed by the 12th uncle to heal his injuries and stabilize his cultivation. However, some fellows were not very obedient. For example, the Qing River carp in the Sleeping Bow Pond, especially the Qing River carp that was recognized by the 12th uncle as its master, was now a second-stage superior. However, its size was still small, only about 2 feet long. It led a group of Qing River carps upstream along the Jade Dragon stream and swam towards the Jade Dragon Spring. After half a cup of tea's time, the 12th uncle's injuries had already completely healed, and his spiritual power fluctuations had also stabilized. He shouted, "Daoyuan, let the clansmen come over." Wang Daoyuan instructed the clansmen, "Return to the mountain." A group of Purple Mansion Realm and Foundation establishment cultivators flew towards the Jade Spring Peak on their swords, followed by a few flying boats. On these flying boats, some of them were refiners with more potential. There were also some children of cultivators under the age of 10, and the possibility of them having spiritual roots was very high. Before the age of 10, their spiritual roots had not fully formed. At this time, receiving the gift of heaven and earth was still possible to strengthen their spiritual roots. Yunyi also flew to the spiritual mountain with the Thunder Ape and Dahe to absorb these golden raindrops. The many spiritual plants on the mountain also absorbed some of the golden raindrops and became exceptionally energetic. The 12th uncle's Qing River carp pet kept jumping out of the water vein, wanting to absorb more golden raindrops. Wang Daoyuan did not join in the fun. Instead, he rode a cloud in the sky east of the Jade Spring Peak, staring at the east. The spirit-devouring beast patrolled near the main vein of the Heavenly/Mountain Range and found that there were already 2 low-grade 4th-rank demonic birds coming towards the Jade Spring Peak. He was a demon and could not casually expose himself, so he did not make a move against the 2 demonic birds. However, the 2 low-grade 4th-rank demonic birds were not much of a threat to Wang Daoyuan. Even if they had small divine abilities, they would not be able to last long under Wang Daoyuan's hands. Moreover, the 12th uncle could also make a move now. With his early-stage golden core cultivation, he could control the myriad water origin formation. Even if a few low-grade 4th-rank demonic beasts came, they would not be able to threaten the Jade Spring Peak. Of course, the flying speed of 4th-rank demonic birds was far superior to early-stage golden core cultivators. If they wanted to escape, Wang Daoyuan really did not have much confidence in catching them. However, humans die for wealth, and birds die for food. With the gift of heaven and earth to fish, there would always be some who were not afraid of death. The Jade Needle White Jade Pine was still too early to mature. The core formation spiritual item had to be found elsewhere. He could find an opportunity to kill a few 4th-rank demonic beasts and refine the core formation pill. Not long after, a demonic bird flew over from the west. This demonic bird belonged to the crane species. Its wingspan was more than 3 meters, and its entire body was covered in fiery red feathers. When it flew closer, Wang Daoyuan recognized this demonic bird. This demonic bird was called the flame-feathered crane, and it was also an expert in playing with fire. However, it did not have any divine bird bloodline. The flame-feathered crane's cultivation was at most mid-grade 4th rank. Among the demonic birds, it was the type that did not have a good future. Wang Daoyuan was a little excited. This was a 4th-rank demonic core that had been delivered to his doorstep. Without waiting for it to approach the Jade Spring Peak, he took the initiative to go forward. When he was more than 50 kilometers away from the flame-feathered crane, he used the water dragon technique. After the water dragon took shape, he used the water dragon prison. A black bubble with a diameter of 300 meters appeared out of thin air and enveloped the flame-feathered crane. The flame-feathered crane charged inside several times and found that it could not break out of the water dragon prison with its physical body. Then, crimson flames began to burn on its wings, and the flames quickly spread throughout its body. Wang Daoyuan would not just watch it escape. He took out the white tiger blade and poured his spirit energy into it, then used the sword manipulation technique. The white tiger blade flew out and went straight for the flame-feathered crane. A moment later, the flame-feathered crane released a large amount of flames, which directly blew up the water dragon prison. It had just broken out of the water dragon prison, and before it could celebrate, the white tiger blade caught up to it. A cold light flashed, and the flame-feathered crane's neck was cut in two. Blood spurted out from the cut. Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon prison again and wrapped the corpse up. Not for anything else, but just the blood of a fourth-rank demonic bird was extremely precious. He pulled the water dragon prison closer and shrunk it to about 3 meters. Then, he put it into the spirit pearl space and let Tu Yuming take care of the corpse. At this time, another demonic bird entered the Wang family's territory. This guy was an eagle-type demonic beast with a few golden feathers on its body. It might have the bloodline of a higher-level demonic bird. However, this guy was clever. After seeing the flame-feathered crane die with its own eyes, it did not dare to come here again. It let out a frightened cry, and its body leaned to the side, drawing a perfect arc in the air, and turned around to fly into the depths of the sky/mountain range. Eagle-type demonic birds were known for their speed. It was more than 1,000 miles away from the Jade Spring Peak. With Wang Daoyuan's speed, it was impossible for him to catch up with it. Even if he used the Scarlet Phoenix fire manipulation technique, he could only close the distance by a few hundred miles at most. A cultivator using an escape technique would not be able to last forever, so there was no hope of catching up to it. He thought it was a pity. If he could kill this demonic bird and refine the bloodline pill, maybe Jin Yu would have the possibility of advancing. The spirit-devouring beast detected that 2 more demonic beasts were heading towards the Jade Spring Peak. However, their speed was really not that good. Without waiting for them to enter the Wang family's territory, the gift of heaven and earth would be over. The gift of heaven and earth was a manifestation of a kind of law. Fourth-rank demonic beasts could feel the intense changes in this law, and knew that the gift of heaven and earth was very beneficial to them. Therefore, they would try their best to take advantage of it. Once the gift of heaven and earth disappeared and the law calmed down, the demonic beasts would no longer be attracted, and they would naturally not come over. Chapter 583. Wang Daoyuan still did not let his guard down. Although the demonic beasts would not directly threaten the core territory of the Wang family. However, within the range of the sky/mountain range, there were Linji Mountain and Fallen Dragon Ridge. The ordinary clansmen had already migrated out, but the family had developed these two places for more than 100 years, opening up many spirit fields, mines, and forests. There were also some cultivators guarding there. If the demonic beasts ran there and found that the gift of heaven and earth was gone, they would vent their anger on Fallen Dragon Ridge and Linji Mountain. The loss of the family would be great. He put on the black demon robe, put away the auspicious clouds, lowered his flying altitude, and entered the range of the sky/mountain range. Soon, he arrived at the easternmost end of Fallen Dragon Ridge. In the air more than 100 miles south of Fallen Dragon Ridge, there were 2 Tier 4 inferior-grade demonic beasts flying towards Jade Spring Peak. One of them was a wild boar, and the other was a grizzly bear. Both of them were in their original forms. When demonic beasts reached Tier 4, they would be able to take human form after passing the transformation tribulation. They would be able to break through the bloodline restrictions of their race and give birth to offspring with other races. Therefore, there were many Tier 4 demonic beasts with mixed blood. Wang Daoyuan really could not tell what kind of demonic beasts these two guys were. He was afraid that these two stubborn guys would cause trouble, so he used the stealth demon art and quietly followed behind. After half a cup of tea's time, the gift of heaven and earth at Jade Spring Peak ended. As Wang Daoyuan expected, the two demonic beasts went crazy and turned north, wanting to vent their anger on Fallen Dragon Ridge. Within the range of the sky/mountain range, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to make too much noise. He only wanted to kill the demonic beasts as quickly and quietly as possible. His fastest attack method was to use the white tiger blade. The grizzly bear and wild boar in front of him both had strong physical bodies. The wild boar was of the earth attribute and was more resistant to beatings. The grizzly bear was of the wood attribute and was easier to kill in one blow. He took out the white tiger blade and stabbed at the grizzly bear's back. As soon as the white tiger blade was used, the two demonic beasts noticed. However, their reaction speed could not compare to Wang Daoyuan's. In the blink of an eye, the grizzly bear did not have time to dodge and was pierced through the heart by the white tiger blade. Then, the sword chi was released, completely crushing the gray bear's heart and invading the gray bear's consciousness. Before it died, it let out an angry roar. The wild boar next to it also roared in fear and quickly used the earth escape technique to escape into the ground. Wang Daoyuan immediately put the body of the grizzly bear into the space of the spirit bead. He wanted to attack the wild boar, but it was too late. Relying on the strength of his physical body, he escaped to a depth of 10,000 feet underground. This wild boar's intelligence was not low. It was certain that Wang Daoyuan did not dare to waste time here, so it stayed underground and refused to come out no matter what. Wang Daoyuan didn't waste any time. He cleaned up the traces and hid again. Half a cup of tea later, 3 human-shaped demons appeared at the place where Wang Daoyuan had killed the grizzly bear. A woman in red stomped on the ground a few times and said, "That wild boar came out. What happened here?" Her voice seemed to carry the law of penetration. Even though they were separated by thousands of feet of rock, the wild boar underground could still hear her. It quickly returned to the ground and snorted at the 3 of them for a long time. A silver-haired man said, "This guy and that bear wanted to attack Fallen Dragon Ridge, so they were killed by a sneak attack. Fallen Dragon Ridge is occupied by the Wang family. Only Wang Daoyuan can kill a rank 4 demon in an instant. Wang Daoyu, can you show yourself?" Wang Daoyuan appeared 1,000 feet in front of them. The 3 people and the pig were all shocked. The woman in red smiled and said, "Wang Daoyu is really capable. I didn't notice you at all when you were so close." The black-robed man who had been silent all this time questioned, "Wang Daoyu killed a rank 4 demon in our territory. Do you not put us in your eyes?" Wang Daoyuan replied calmly, "This is Fallen Dragon Ridge, the territory of my Wang family." The woman in red said, "Wang Daoyu is being unreasonable. Since 10,000 years ago, there have been no human forces in the heavenly/mountain range. Since Fallen Dragon Ridge is in the heavenly/mountain range, it naturally belongs to the demon race." Wang Daoyuan was amused by her. "Daoyu is not telling the truth. Isn't my family's force in the heavenly/mountain range now? My human race has not reached an agreement with the demon race to say that humans are not allowed to enter the heavenly/mountain range, right? If the demon race can occupy the heavenly/mountain range, can't my human race do the same?" The silver-haired man said unhappily, "Wang Daoyu is being unreasonable. The Wang family has only occupied Fallen Dragon Ridge for more than 100 years, while the demon race has occupied the heavenly/mountain range for 10,000 years. We have occupied it for a longer time, so it naturally belongs to us. Since 10,000 years ago, there were no more Yuanian cultivators in the human race. The demon race had a longer lifespan. The rank 5 demon race had lived for many years. The human race relied on the backup plan left behind by their ancestors and could barely contend with the demon race. They were unable to control the heavenly/mountain range. By now, it was time for those old coffins of the demon race to be buried. Both sides did not have Yuanian combat strength, so who was afraid of who? He said indifferently, 10,000 years ago, the heavenly/mountain range was occupied by the human race for countless years. In terms of time, my human race has the advantage. At this moment, a golden auspicious cloud floated over from the east. A sharp voice came from above. Dao Yu, do you mean to rely on strength to speak? My demon race likes to talk with strength the most. I just don't know if Dao Yu is strong enough. More than 500 years ago, this myriad water origin formation blocked more than 10 rank 4 demons. I wonder how many can it block now? This meant that they wanted to attack the Jade Spring Peak to threaten him. Since they had already said this, Wang Daoyuan did not stand on ceremony with them. He sneered and said, my strength is naturally not enough to fight the demon race head-on. But if you destroy my family, it won't be difficult for me to kill a few rank 4 demons a year with my concealment technique. In the next few decades, Daoyu's family will be extinct. And your strength is not enough in front of me. Unless you stay together all the time, I will kill every single one of you. Oh right, there are still refined corpses in the north of the mountain. Why don't I help them? I also know a lot of methods to refine corpses. Let's see if the demon race in the heavenly/mountain range perishes first, or if my Wang family cultivators die first. With Wang Daoyuan's current combat strength, he might not be able to defeat those half-divine beasts in a battle of the same level. Other demon beasts with lower divine beast bloodlines would not be enough even if they had small divine abilities. The few people in front of him were too weak. The expressions of the demons changed drastically. Their territory was not far from the north of the mountain, and they had seen many demon beasts escape to the south of the mountain. They knew how dangerous these refined corpses were. With the help of the netherworld cave, the demons could only be forced to defend. Moreover, these guys were far more interested in the demons than the humans. The flaw of the refined corpses was that they had only one method, and the humans could make up for this flaw. Once the two sides cooperated, the demons would be in even more trouble. Every time the refined corpses killed a demon, they could turn it into a walking corpse. And it was useless for the demons to kill the refined corpses. They were also not like humans who could control the refined corpses. If they really continued to play, the refined corpses and humans would become stronger and stronger while the demons would become weaker and weaker. Sooner or later, they would be extinct. The voice in the golden cloud said angrily, "You dare?" Wang Daoyuan said disdainfully, "You guys want to exterminate my entire family, what else do I not dare to do?" Back then, the old ancestor could rampage through the heavenly/mountain range, suppressing you guys so much that you did not dare to come out. My strength is above his, do you think I'm afraid of you? You should be glad that I have a family that allows me to have some considerations. If not for the family's restraint, you guys would just be my cultivation resources. If you exterminate my family, I will let your entire family die with me. You can also gamble with the lives of your entire family and take this opportunity to keep me here. If you succeed, you will have one less big problem. If you fail, your entire family will just be wiped out. A powerful, elusive, and unscrupulous person was the most dangerous. The humans still had array formations to protect their nests, but the demons did not have a protective array formation. These demons were not too strong. If Wang Daoyuan really destroyed their entire family, they would not even have the ability to protect themselves. Chapter 584. The demons' expressions were somewhat ugly. Wang Daoyuan's concealment methods were extremely powerful, and they could not see through it at all. Even if they attacked together, the possibility of taking down Wang Daoyuan was extremely small. Using the lives of the entire clan to gamble on this extremely small success rate, no one was willing to do this. The silver-haired man hurriedly came out to smooth things over. Wang Daoyu also said it in anger. Previously, he even helped the bloodthirsty ash wolf kill 3 refined corpses at Shanbei. Not long ago, he even helped the Black Flame Tiger clan's Yan Hui treat his injuries. Daoyu even said that you're his brother. I'm also from the Tiger clan. We're all brothers, so there's no need to shout and kill like this. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not want to meet force with force. Those tough words earlier were also to fight for survival space for his clan. He was clearly telling them that although he was weak, he also had the ability to exterminate their clan. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong was a common trait between humans and demons. The weak had no right to negotiate. To obtain an equal opportunity, they had to let them know that they had the ability to exterminate them. Both sides were wary of each other, so there was room to negotiate. In the past, when the Wang family developed Fallen Dragon Ridge, the demons did not take it seriously. Now that the matter was made clear, then there had to be a rule. If it was really like what the demon said, that the Heaven/Mountain Range was the territory of the demons, then the Wang family developing territory in the Heaven/Mountain Range was going against all the demons. They could be besieged by the demons at any time. Then what was the point of developing the Heaven/Mountain Range? Now that the silver-haired man said soft words, it meant that he was willing to talk slowly. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, actually, humans were also a member of the demons back then. It's just that later on, when we grew to a level comparable to divine beasts and were clearly different from other demons, we were pushed out of the demon clan. We all have the same thinking. We just want our own cultivation to be higher so that our clansmen can live better. Since everyone doesn't want to kill each other, then there has to be a rule. Don't say that the Heaven/Mountain Range belongs to the demons. Our human ancestors have never admitted it. The Heaven/Mountain Range was born from heaven and earth. Humans and demons were also born from heaven and earth. If the demons can occupy the Heaven/Mountain Range, we humans can naturally occupy it too. Since my clan has already established a business in the Heaven/Mountain Range, we will not retreat. The monsters looked at each other, not knowing what to do. The red-clothed woman smiled and said, what Daoyu said makes sense, but the few of us are all middle rank 4 cultivation can't make decisions for the demon race. Daoyu was only at the middle stage of the Gold Core realm, and the Wang family was just a small force in the human race. Presumably, they could not make the decision for the human race. There's no point in us talking about these things. In my opinion, we should report this to our superiors and discuss it further. The other demons also nodded in agreement. They didn't want to follow any rules. Maintaining the status quo was the most beneficial for the demon race. If the rules were set and the human race entered the Heavenly/Mountain Range wantonly, they would be the ones to suffer losses. Wang Daoyuan shook his head and said, without rules, nothing can be accomplished. I can't represent the human race, but I can represent the Wang family in South Yen County. If you don't set up a rule, sooner or later, there will be a big conflict between the younger generation of your demon clan and the cultivators of my South Yen County. At that time, I will have no choice but to be your enemy. I won't force you to give up any benefits. It's just that when human cultivators below the Gold Core realm have a conflict with demons below rank 4, we are not allowed to interfere. If other rank 4 demons violate this rule, I will attack them. You are not allowed to stop me. If you don't even have this promise, like today, you rank 4 demons will attack my Wang family's businesses and clansmen at will. Then I might as well cooperate with the refined corpses and beat the demons into submission. Today's matter was because the demons were not particular in the first place. A rank 4 demon wanted to bully a Foundation establishment human. Wang Daoyuan would not give up without an explanation. It was not bad to give a promise now and end this matter. The other demons discussed for a while and found that it was not a big deal. It was meaningless for a rank 4 demon to kill a human below the gold core realm. It was also a good thing to prevent Wang Daoyuan from attacking their clansmen. The silver-haired man nodded and said, "Let's do as Daoyu said. In the future, we will not attack humans below the gold core realm. Your South Yen County's gold core realm humans will not attack demons below rank 4. However, only the few of us will make this promise. If other demons violate the rules, they can't blame us. Besides, the human race is not allowed to invade our territory." Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. After the two sides agreed, they left. Although rank 4 demons were not low in intelligence, there was no environment for scheming and fighting within the demon race, and they were not experienced enough. These rank 4 demons were still lacking when it came to scheming. This agreement seemed very fair, but it was actually very beneficial to the administrator's residents. To put it bluntly, it meant that both sides' gold core realm combat strength would not attack, and the cultivators below the gold core realm and the demons below rank 4 would fight each other. However, the demons had too few means, and they could not use Dharma artifacts, array formations, spirit talismans, and the like. Without the participation of rank 4 demons, the demon-slaying division cultivators with flying warships and spirit talismans could pin rank 3 demons to the ground and beat them up. Although the scope of this agreement was very small, these rank 4 demon clan members were the local tyrants in the vicinity. The Wang family did not need to negotiate with other demons for territorial disputes. If they agreed, the Wang family would have no pressure to expand to the east. Moreover, humans and demons like to follow conventions. Just like how demons believed that the heaven/mountain range was their territory, they also followed a convention formed over 10,000 years. Once this agreement was implemented, it would become a convention after a long time. In the future, when the Wang family expanded to other places and met other demons, they could also use this convention. Wang Daoyuan returned to Jade Spring Peak. The gift of heaven and earth had already ended, and most of the clansmen who had received the benefits had gone to do their own things. However, there were still a few clansmen meditating where they were, including 5th great-uncle and 3rd brother Wang Daochang. 5th great-uncle had already established his purple mansion more than 100 years ago, but his talent was too good. Previously, he did not have enough cultivation resources, so his cultivation speed was not fast. However, he was already about to reach the late stage of the Purple Mansion realm. Now, with the help of the gift of heaven and earth, it was natural for him to break through. 3rd brother had already established his Purple Mansion more than 40 years ago. His talent was not bad. He was a cultivator with 3 spiritual roots, and his main spiritual root was more than 8 inches. Over the years, he had been busy dealing with affairs. In addition, the Jade Spring Peak spirit vein was not suitable for him to cultivate, so his cultivation progress had been very slow. However, with enough resources and so many years of accumulation, it was not strange for him to break through to the middle stage of the Purple Mansion realm. There were also a few foundation establishment and chi refinement clansmen meditating by the Jade Dragon Spring. It seemed that they were also about to break through. In addition to the clansmen, the Thunder Ape was also meditating. It had been a while since it broke through to the 3rd rank, and it might be about to break through to the 3rd rank. There was also Big Black. Its previous cultivation was very close to the 2nd rank, and it might break through this time. Yunyi had just broken through not long ago, so it would not break through again. It turned into the size of a kitten and was acting coquettishly to the clansmen, asking for roasted meat. A day later, purple light flickered between the eyebrows of 5th great-uncle and 3rd brother Wang Daochang. Then, the purple light disappeared, and the spiritual power fluctuations also increased significantly. Both of them had successfully broken through. Big Black was a 2nd-rank spirit beast, so the breakthrough caused a relatively small commotion. After a violent fluctuation, its spiritual power stabilized at the second rank. The Thunder Ape's breakthrough caused a huge commotion. Blue lightning constantly flickered on its body, and its spiritual power fluctuations constantly rose. In the end, a horned Thunder Ape more than 30 meters tall appeared on its body. The horned Thunder Ape let out a roar. The Thunder Ape's cultivation had also reached the third rank. After the clansmen and spirit beasts finished breaking through, they went about their own business. Yunyi carried the Thunder Ape and Big Black and left the Jade Spring Peak to continue guarding Fallen Dragon Ridge. Wang Daoyuan also prepared to return to the cave at the bottom of the Earth Fire Chamber to deal with the two fourth-rank demonic beasts' corpses. Suddenly, a clear river carp jumped out of the Jade Dragon Spring. This clear river carp was more than 2 feet long, and its cultivation was at the second rank. Its spiritual power fluctuations were unstable, and it should be about to break through to the third rank. Chapter 585. This Qing River Carp was the mutant raised by the 12th uncle. Breaking through to rank 3 was a critical moment that determined its future. The 12th uncle naturally also noticed the changes in the Qing River Carp and hurriedly came out of the cave house. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "It seems that this Qing River Carp is really not simple. Under normal circumstances, the Qing River Carp can't break through to rank 3. This one is only 2 feet long and is about to break through to rank 3. It's most likely a dragon species. The old ancestors' dragon fish grew a reverse scale when it broke through to rank 3. How about we also feed it a rank 3 jade dragon algae? Maybe it can also grow a reverse scale after breaking through." The 12th uncle didn't speak and just nodded. He cast the water dragon technique, condensed a water dragon more than 10 feet long, and dived into the spring water. After a few breaths, the water dragon brought out a 1-foot-long white jade dragon. This was a rank 3 jade dragon algae. When the Qing River Carp saw the jade dragon algae, it was like a wolf seeing a sheep. It directly rushed over and swallowed the jade dragon algae in one bite. Subsequently, the Qing River Carp's spiritual power fluctuations became stronger. After half an hour, a burst of water blue light flashed on its body, and its spiritual power fluctuations also reached rank 3 low grade. However, the changes didn't end. The Qing River Carp's spiritual power fluctuations stabilized, but the qi and blood power in its body boiled. It kept swimming in the Jade Dragon Spring, using its body to rub the bottom of the water and the stones on the shore. These stones were nourished by the spiritual power of the Jade Dragon Spring for countless years. Although they didn't become precious spiritual materials, their strength wasn't low. The scales on the Qing River Carp's body were rubbed off a lot, and there were fish scales hanging on the stones with a little bit of blood on them. After a quarter of an hour, the scales of the Qing River Carp all fell off, and there were still scars on its body. Logically speaking, after suffering so many injuries, its qi and blood should be weakened. However, the qi and blood fluctuations of the Qing River Carp didn't weaken, but became stronger. After half a cup of tea's time, Wang Daoyuan's divine sense probed that a touch of gold appeared under the neck of the Qing River Carp. This golden color was a newly grown fish scale. Normally, fish scales would grow from the front to the back, but this golden scale was growing from the back to the front. The 12th uncle naturally noticed it as well. He asked, "Is this a reverse scale?" Wang Daoyuan took out the jade scale flood dragon's reverse scale from the spiritual pearl space and handed it to the 12th uncle. He smiled and said, "How can a golden scale be a fish in a pond? Once it grows this golden scale, it is a dragon species." The 12th uncle checked the aura of the green scale flood dragon's reverse scale and compared it with the Qing River Carp's golden scale. He smiled and said, "The aura is similar. This Qing River Carp also has a reverse scale. That's great. Our clan now has another guardian spirit beast. Since it's a dragon, it should have a name. Let's call it Golden Scale." Soon, the reverse scale below Jin Lin's neck stopped growing. His reverse scale was much smaller than the jade scale flood dragon's. The widest part was only half an inch. After the reverse scale grew, scales also began to grow on Jin Lin's body. However, these scales were no longer blood-red like the Qing River carps, but instead, they became aqua-blue. After all the scales grew out, Jin Lin's spiritual power and qi and blood stabilized. The whole fish also grew to more than 3 feet long. The other Qing River carps in the Jade Dragon Spring all jumped out of the water to worship Jin Lin. The 12th uncle returned the Jade Scale Flood Dragon's reverse scale to Wang Daoyuan. After he took the reverse scale, he smiled and said, "12th uncle, you've formed your gold core now, so you don't have to be in a hurry to cultivate. 5th uncle has broken through to the late stage of the Zifu realm. The next step is to form his gold core, but he needs time to cultivate. I'll leave the position of the head steward of the administrator's estate to you." The 12th uncle didn't like to be in charge, but he still agreed. "I was able to cultivate to the gold core realm mostly because of the resources you gave me. I'm not strong enough, so I can't help you much. I'll just look after this family for you." Wang Daoyuan left the Jade Dragon Spring and went to the executive hall. This time, he killed 2 low-grade 4th-rank demonic beasts and obtained 2 gold cores, which could be used to refine 2 cauldrons of gold formation pills. However, the supplementary ingredients for the gold formation pills were relatively rare. Wang Daoyuan didn't have enough spiritual items to complete the pill formula. He still needed to mobilize the clansmen to help him find them. As the Grand Elder, Wang Mingshan naturally handled the clan's affairs in the executive hall. Seeing him walk in, Wang Mingshan immediately cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, 7th uncle." Wang Daoyuan instructed, "Help me issue a reward for finding the supplementary ingredients for the gold formation pills and the purple gold chalcedony fruit." "Oh right, I originally wanted to refine the dragon horns from the jade scale flood dragon into a magic tool, but I never used them. Now that I've reached the gold core realm, the dragon horns of a 3rd-rank flood dragon are useless to me. It just so happens that your Violet Palace phenomenon is the Jade Scale Flood Dragon. You can keep these dragon horns to refine your natal magic tool." Then, he handed the pair of dragon horns to Wang Mingshan. The gold formation pill was a mid-grade 4th-grade pill. Wang Daoyuan's current alchemy skills were only at the high-grade 3rd grade, so he couldn't refine the gold formation pills directly. It just so happened that the origin fostering pill was a low-grade 4th-grade pill, so he could practice refining the origin fostering pill first. He had gathered all the ingredients for the origin fostering pill, but the purple gold chalcedony fruit still needed many years to ripen. If he wanted to refine the origin fostering pill, he could only rely on the purple gold chalcedony fruit. Wang Mingshan took the dragon horns and said, "Thank you, 7th uncle. I'll instruct the clansmen to find the supplementary ingredients for the gold formation pills and the purple gold chalcedony fruit." Wang Daoyuan nodded and left the executive hall, returning to the cave abode at the bottom of the earth fire chamber. The 12th uncle's core formation tribulation didn't affect the earth fire chamber, so Zhou Wan didn't go out. She stayed in the cave abode to cultivate. Wang Daoyuan didn't disturb her either. Instead, he improved his spell in the backyard. Previously, when he killed the flame-feathered crane, he used the water dragon prison to trap the flame-feathered crane. However, the flame-feathered crane used a fire attribute spell to break the water dragon prison. This made Wang Daoyuan feel embarrassed. The 12th uncle could easily suppress opponents of the same level with the water dragon prison. He was at the mid-stage of the golden core realm, but his spell was broken by a low-grade 4th-grade demon bird. The water dragon art and its supplementary spells were created by the old ancestor to complement the art of overturning sea and the black dragon avatar. Wang Daoyuan's cultivation technique didn't match the purple mansion avatar, so it was difficult for him to unleash the true power of the water dragon art. The Water Dragon Prison was one of the few spells he had that could trap and not injure. It was still very valuable and could be improved. When he was in the Violet Mansion realm, he had always wanted to improve the spell. Unfortunately, his realm wasn't high enough. Now, he could give it a try. The Water Dragon Art was the spell that he had cultivated for the longest time. It was also his family's inheritance, so its content was very complete. There were also various thoughts and insights of the old ancestor when he created the spell. With these things, he would have a reference to modify the Water Dragon Art. It would save him a lot of effort. In fact, there was no need to preserve the Water Dragon Art. After all, he didn't have the Water Dragon avatar. The Water Dragon avatar's attack and defense weren't strong. What he really wanted to preserve were the supplementary spells of the Water Dragon Art. The Water Dragon Prison to trap enemies and the Water Dragon Armor to protect himself. The most important one was the Water Driving Art. When casting water-type spells in the water, their power would increase greatly. Moreover, the Water Driving Art was created with the Dragonfish's minor divine ability as the foundation. Cultivating the Water Driving Art should also be helpful in comprehending minor divine abilities. These spells could only be cast with the Water Dragon Art as the foundation. It was very difficult to cast these spells individually. It would be best to use other water-type divine beasts to replace the Water Dragon to cast the Water Driving Art. Wang Daoyuan didn't have the Black Dragon avatar, but he had the Black Tortoise avatar. In terms of controlling water, the Black Tortoise wasn't inferior to the dragon race. It was even stronger. If he used the Black Tortoise to replace the Water Dragon, the Water Dragon Prison and Water Driving Art should be stronger. The Water Dragon Prison was especially suitable for the Black Tortoise. The biggest problem with the Water Dragon Art he cast was that it wasn't strong enough. A rank 4 inferior Flame Feather Crane could break his Water Dragon Prison. The Black Tortoise's strength wasn't only in controlling water, but also in defense and suppression. Defense could increase the strength of the Water Dragon Prison, and suppression could weaken the opponent's power. In this way, once the opponent was trapped by the Water Dragon Prison, it would be difficult for them to escape. In addition, his water-type spiritual power could be transformed into the Gui Water Death Flame, which could attack the divine sense and the soul. Its lethality was also extremely terrifying. Therefore, this improvement plan had great potential. Chapter 586. Golden Core cultivators could no longer simply learn other people's things. The spells and techniques created by others might not necessarily be suitable for themselves. Almost every veteran Golden Core cultivator had their own unique spells, and some even created their own techniques. Creating one's own spells and techniques was the most common way to find one's own Tao. The so-called Tao was to find a law that was truly suitable for oneself, to comprehend and control it. Divine powers and minor divine powers were also a manifestation of one's own Tao. Understanding one's own Tao would increase the probability of comprehending minor divine powers. People like Swordless Master, who had comprehended their own Tao early on, were very rare. Most people, even if they cultivated to the Yuanying level, did not find their own Tao. Finding one's own Tao could not be accomplished overnight. One had to start by improving and creating spells. He sat cross-legged next to the spirit spring in the garden, urging water spiritual power to try to condense the Black Tortoise Phantom. He also had a spell to condense the Black Tortoise Phantom, which was the spell created by Venerable Subduing Demon, Black Tortoise Suppressing the Sea. However, this Black Tortoise Suppressing the Sea was a complementary spell to his natal magic weapon, the Black Tortoise Shield. If he wanted to use it alone, he still needed to improve it. With a ready-made spell as a reference, it was much easier than creating one out of thin air. In just over 10 days, he was able to use water spiritual power to condense a Black Tortoise Phantom that was more than 10 feet long. With the foundation of the Black Tortoise Suppressing the Sea, the power of the Black Tortoise Phantom was not weak. With the Black Tortoise Phantom, he could use it as a foundation to cast the complementary spells of the Water Dragon technique. Among these spells, the simplest one was the Water Dragon Armor. Wang Daoyuan was also familiar with this spell. He spent a few days improving it so that it was compatible with the Black Tortoise Phantom. Then, he tried to transform the Black Tortoise Phantom into the shape of armor. He did not expect to succeed in one try. The Black Tortoise Phantom turned into armor and covered his whole body. It should be called the Black Tortoise Armor now. At this moment, there was a crisp laughter. "Administrator, your armor is too awe-inspiring." This laughter naturally belonged to Xiaofan. After she finished cultivating, she came to the garden. Lying on the recliner, she ate some spirit fruits and drank some wine. When he saw Wang Daoyuan's Water Dragon Armor, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. After the Black Tortoise Phantom transformed into armor, it fused with Wang Daoyuan. It looked like he was carrying a huge tortoise shell. Wang Daoyuan said with a straight face, "What are you laughing at?" "Shallow. The most important thing about magic is its power. Appearance is secondary." Xiaofan held back her laughter and nodded solemnly. "What the administrator said makes sense. I've learned my lesson. You can wear this armor to face the enemy." Wang Daoyuan himself also felt that it was inappropriate. Carrying a tortoise shell to defend against the enemy, where was the dignity of a golden core cultivator? However, it wouldn't be too troublesome to keep the essence and change the shape. He had also learned quite a few defensive spells. Among them, there was a level 3 basic spell, 5 Elements Divine Armor spell. Although the defensive effect of the 5 Elements Divine Armor spell was like a joke, the Armor Phantom was quite beautiful, very much like the Radiant Armor. Wang Daoyuan also modified the Black Tortoise Armor into the appearance of the 5 Elements Divine Armor spell, and it only took him a few days to succeed. The condensed Armor Phantom was roughly the appearance of the Radiant Armor, except that there were a few more Black Tortoise patterns. Then, Wang Daoyuan said, "Hall Master, cast a few small spells to attack my Armor Phantom." Xiaofan naturally knew the severity of the situation. She casually condensed a small fireball with a diameter of 3 inches and threw it at Wang Daoyuan. The fireball he casually threw out had the power of a small spell and was quite lethal. However, this fireball didn't have any effect on the Armor Phantom at all and was completely extinguished. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. The defensive power of the Black Tortoise was indeed extraordinary. After testing it, she was also confident. She condensed another fireball with a diameter of more than 3 feet and threw it at Wang Daoyuan. The Armor Phantom shook, but it wasn't broken. Xiaofan's fireball was comparable to the full-strength attack of a middle-stage Golden Core cultivator, but the Black Tortoise Armor could still withstand it. In other words, an ordinary cultivator of the same level couldn't break its defense at all. Xiaofan said in surprise, "Your turtle shell is really sturdy." Wang Daoyuan retorted, "What turtle shell? I named it the Black Tortoise Radiant Armor. Isn't that still a turtle shell?" Wang Daoyuan didn't bicker with her anymore and started to modify the next spell. The second target was the Water Dragon Prison that he had high hopes for. However, the Water Dragon Prison was far more complicated than the Black Tortoise Radiant Armor. With the experience of modifying the Black Tortoise Radiant Armor, he wasn't completely clueless. After continuously modifying and experimenting, it took him 2 months to successfully condense the Water Dragon Prison with the help of the Black Tortoise's shadow. The Water Dragon Prison wasn't very powerful. He let Xiaofan try it out and found that it wasn't as strong as before, so he was mocked by her. Wang Daoyuan integrated the Black Tortoise's charm into it and spent another 3 months to modify it. The current Water Dragon Prison didn't change much in appearance, but there were some Black Tortoise patterns on the Water Prison. It couldn't be called the Water Dragon Prison anymore. Wang Daoyuan renamed it the Black Tortoise Purgatory. However, the interior was almost completely modified. It was no longer similar to the previous water dragon prison. He let Zhou Wan try it again. She used an ordinary spell, but couldn't break the Black Tortoise Purgatory. In the end, she used the Red Phoenix Divine Fire technique to break the Black Tortoise Purgatory. The Red Phoenix Divine Fire technique's power was reduced by half. Zhou Wan's Lesser Abhijna and the Red Phoenix Divine Fire technique were comparable to an ordinary middle-stage Golden Core cultivator. The Black Tortoise Purgatory could reduce its power by half, but it was enough to trap most middle-stage Golden Core cultivators. The spell's power had reached the level that Wang Daoyuan expected, but he still needed to improve his proficiency. When middle-stage Golden Core cultivators fought, victory and defeat could be decided with a single thought. There was no time to condense the Black Tortoise's shadow. He needed to cultivate to the point where he could directly use it without condensing the Black Tortoise's shadow. Only then would it be of value in actual combat. To achieve this goal, the most important thing was to comprehend the Divine Beast charm. Wang Daoyuan had cultivated many spells to strengthen his Purple Mansion avatar in the past few years. Naturally, the Black Tortoise's divine charm wasn't weak. After cultivating for a month, he could finally directly use the Black Tortoise Radiant Armor and the Black Tortoise Purgatory. If he could directly use the Water Dragon Prison when he killed the Grey Bear, the Wild Boar wouldn't have been able to escape. He had achieved his goal of improvement. He originally wanted to discuss life philosophy with Zhou Wan. However, Zhou Wan took out the Hall Master token and said with a smile, "I just received news that the Zhao clan's cultivators from the Guiyuan sword sect have moved out. However, they were also frightened by you and didn't dare to pass through Gold Goose City. Instead, they crossed the Wild Goose Mountain from the west of Gold Goose City. Now, they are attacking the clans in the north of Heian County and forcing the Netherworld sect's subordinate clans to submit. Also, the Zhao clan has strengthened their attack on Wanchuan Market. The number of people attacking has doubled." Wang Daoyuan nodded. There are still smart people in the Zhao clan. They can't take down the three major sects for the time being, so they can isolate the three major sects first. Unfortunately, the long-legged prince isn't cut out for that. The old clan's cultivators are all suppressed by the three major sections. Most of them aren't on the same side as the three major sections. Now that the three major sects are being beaten to the point that they don't dare to come out, the hearts of the clans are already wavering. If the Zhao clan is serious about roping them in, at least half of the old clans will join them. At this time, instead of roping in the old clans, they are directly attacking them. This is forcing the clans to side with the three major sections. I really suspect that the long-legged prince is the illegitimate son of one of the three major sects' cultivators. 500 years ago, he destroyed the Zhao clan's hope of suppressing the rebellion. Now, he is destroying the Zhao clan's last foundation and the old clan's last bit of nostalgia for the Zhao clan. His actions are simply the greatest contributor to the three major sections. Zhou Wan asked, "You don't intend to interfere in this matter?" Wang Daoyuan walked to the front of the recliner and carried Zhou Wan up. He said with a smile, "Previously, I was still worried that the long-legged prince would suddenly grow a brain and destroy the three major sections. Now, it seems that I was overthinking. He is still as stupid as before. As long as he doesn't find trouble with me, they can do whatever they want. How can these trivial matters be more important than our cultivation? This half a year of improving the Dharma spells has delayed our cultivation of the Cloud and Rain Heart Sutra." Chapter 587. One day later, Wang Daoyuan was sleeping in his bed when he received a letter from the 12th uncle. It was not a big deal. Several families in the northern part of Heian County and near Wanchuan Market sent Foundation establishment cultivators to ask for help from the administrator's mansion. Now the long-legged prince's subordinates were completely inhuman. They sent cultivators to wipe out the old families in the entire Zhao state. The Netherworld sect was a coward, and the administrator's mansion was still nominally a force of the Netherworld sect, so they wanted the administrator's mansion to help. This matter involved the foreign policy of the administrator's mansion. The 12th uncle did not dare to make the decision himself, so he sent a letter to ask for Wang Daoyuan's opinion. Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to care about these things. After the establishment of the administrator's mansion, these families who were originally close to the Wang family suddenly alienated themselves. They felt that the administrator's mansion could not stand firm and might be cleaned up by the Netherworld sect. If they were too close to the Wang family, they might be implicated in the future. Later, the administrator's mansion was stabilized, and the Netherworld sect did not dare to act rashly, so they wanted to make connections. The purpose of Wang Daoyuan running the mansion of the administrator was to be able to integrate more forces to deal with the crisis together. To put it bluntly, it was to share trials and tribulations. In this way, families who could only enjoy fortune together but could not share trials and tribulations together had no problem doing business. When I needed support, you did not come. Now that you are in trouble, you want me to help? Are you kidding me? Wang Daoyuan sent a letter to the 12th uncle to express his attitude that the administrator's mansion did not care about things outside of Yan'an County. As for how to persuade them, it was up to the 12th uncle. After all, he had been the patriarch for decades. Wasn't it easy to fool the children of a few families? The administrator's mansion had the 12th uncle, and the family had the third brother. That was to say, he needed to make a decision when something big happened. Now that there was nothing for him to deal with, he continued to improve the magic. Wang Daoyuan got up and went to the spiritual spring in the backyard garden to improve the water manipulation technique that came with the water dragon technique. Water manipulation was a passive spell that came with the water dragon spell. After cultivating the complete water dragon spell, one would automatically have this spell. There was no separate cultivation method. Therefore, in order to cast this spell, he had to modify the method of condensing the black tortoise's shadow. The black tortoise had the ability to control water, and with the black tortoise's charm, it was not difficult to improve it. He wanted to improve the spell properly, but someone was meddling in his business. 3 days later, the 12th uncle sent another letter. The Li family and a few other families in the north of Heian County, as well as the Su family and the Jiang family near the Wanchuan market, had all sent out foundation establishment cultivators. They requested to join the office of the administrator and offered up their territories. He still wanted to ask for help, but his family had already submitted to the administrator. These clans really thought too highly of themselves. The administrator's estate didn't lack foundation establishment and Zifu clans. Wang Daoyuan naturally wasn't interested in these trivial matters. Whether their family's territories were under the management of the administrator's estate was up to the administrator's estate and the Netherworld sect. Their own attitude was nothing. He just asked the 12th uncle to send them away. 2 days later, these families sent foundation establishment cultivators again. This time, they didn't come to ask for help, but to join the administrator's estate as individual cultivators. It was estimated that these families couldn't resist the Zhao family's attack and wanted to surrender. However, they were afraid that the Zhao family would fail and be counterattacked by the Netherworld sect. Therefore, they wanted to leave a way out for their families with Wang Daoyuan. This idea was understandable, but Wang Daoyuan couldn't let them use him for nothing. He could accept them, but he didn't want them to be bosses. They all had to work. There was no shortage of people under the command of the Guardian's estate, so he assigned them to the Demon Slayers division to fight with third-rank demonic beasts. If they could survive, it was their ability. If they couldn't survive, it was their own fate. The administrator's estate was not for nannies. They didn't care about their lives. After dealing with this matter, the families didn't bother him anymore. After dealing with these families, he had some free time. A month later, Zhou intelligence agency received news that a golden core cultivator was about to take down the Wanshuan market by force. Wang Daoyuan wasn't surprised at all when he heard this news. The long-legged prince hadn't obtained many resources since he fought until now. He had to rely on the supply of Linhai State. Going through the Wanshuan Valley and crossing the heavenly/mountain range, the loss of resources was definitely not small. Lord Linhai's side only occupied a part of Linhai State. No matter how capable he was, his foundation was far inferior to the three major sections. In a war of attrition, the long-legged prince naturally couldn't hold on. The one who couldn't hold on could only take the initiative to change his strategy and find a way to break the situation. The Wang family didn't care if they attacked the Wanshuan market. Previously, the family had a shop in the Wanshuan market, but after discovering that the long-legged prince might cause trouble, they withdrew all the family members who were doing business there. No matter what happened over there, the Wang family and the administrator's estate wouldn't suffer any losses. However, the Wanshuan market was close to the Wanshuan River, and there was a level 4 spirit vein in the river. The defensive formation of the Wanshuan market was a level 4 inferior grade formation that was connected to the spirit vein in the river. Even if a golden core cultivator attacked, they would be able to watch the show for a few days. Wang Daoyuan finally mastered the water driving technique. Once the black tortoise's shadow appeared, it could enhance the power of water element spells in the rivers, lakes, and seas. When using the Black Tortoise Radiant Armor and Black Tortoise Purgatory, it could also enhance the power of the water-driving technique. 3 days later, the news that the Wanshuan market had been breached came from the south, which surprised Wang Daoyuan. Was the long-legged prince so powerful? He could actually break a level 4 defensive formation in 3 days. Zhou also quickly received the news from the intelligence agency. She smiled and said, "You're going out to exercise again." The ones who breached the Wanshuan market were 2 golden core cultivators from the Gu family and the Lu family of Linhai State. Now that they've breached the Wanshuan market, the golden core cultivator of the Gu family wants to bring people to flatten our Yannan County. He's now gathering his forces and will head north soon. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "It seems that the long-legged prince is quite capable. He's roped in the 13 families of Linhai to deal with the 3 major sects together. In this way, the long-legged prince's forces can surpass one of the 3 major sections. What's the cultivation level of that Gu guy? How's his strength?" Zhou smiled and said, "You may not believe it, but this Gu guy is in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. It's said that he doesn't have any minor divine abilities." Wang Daoyuan was a little startled. "When those guys from Shanbei came to trouble me, I was able to quickly subdue a late-stage golden core cultivator. The long-legged prince should know about this. If this Gu guy has any minor divine abilities, then he has a reason to be arrogant. If he doesn't have any minor divine abilities, how dare he come to trouble me? Isn't he courting death? By the way, does the Gu family have any powerful means?" Zhou shook her head. "There's no blood shadow branch in Linhai State, only a small number of intelligence agents. Blood Shadow also doesn't know much about the situation there. Blood Shadow also doesn't have much information about the Gu family's inheritance. They only know that the ancestors of the Gu family started out by killing demonic beasts, so they shouldn't be weak in fights of magical power. Moreover, the Gu family's overall strength is very strong. It's the strongest force in Linhai State along with Lord Linhai's bloodline. The Gu family has been passed down for more than 5,000 years, so their foundation should be extremely deep." Wang Daoyuan said cautiously, "This Gu guy should have some powerful means. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so bold as to come to trouble me. Linhai State can't be full of people as stupid as the long-legged prince, can they?" Zhou also nodded. "He probably has some extraordinary means. What should we do?" The 12th uncle has just formed his gold core and is also a water-attributed cultivator. He won't be of much help against a middle-stage golden core cultivator. How about I go out with you? Wang Daoyuan hurriedly refused. Don't act rashly. Otherwise, if this matter leaks out, we'll have to face the Blood Shadow headquarters. The consequences are too serious. A middle-stage golden core cultivator can't overturn the heavens. Even if he has some brilliant means, I'm not someone to be trifled with. Moreover, our Wang family has more than 4 golden core cultivators. I've also hidden another golden core cultivator whose strength is about the same as mine. No matter how strong this Gu guy is, can he fight 2 people of the same realm? Chapter 588. Zhou squinted her eyes and asked with a murderous look, "Is the golden core cultivator you're hiding a male or female? What's your relationship with him? Are you raising a vixen behind my back?" Wang Daoyuan was a little helpless. Your focus is always so strange. It's a male. Zhou retracted her murderous look and was a little confused. A male? Not a human? What kind of spirit beast is it? Wang Daoyuan answered, "It's a red-feathered crow I got from True Monarch by Ling's cave. I've been carrying it with me. However, this fellow doesn't know how to restrain its aura. It makes too much noise when it comes out." Zhou was satisfied. It's good that it's a male. In the future, you're not allowed to raise a female spirit beast. Otherwise, it'll be another vixen once it passes the tribulation. Wang Daoyuan sighed. I'm not just managing humans and half-demons anymore. I even have to raise male spirit beasts. Do I have such a heavy taste? He then put on the Black Devil's robe and used the Devil Concealment art. He left Jade Spring Peak and headed south. 4 hours later, he arrived at the southern border of South Yen County. Further south was the eastern part of Heian County, which was also the southern part of the original Clear Glass River. He released more than 1,000 soul-chasing bees to investigate the situation in the eastern part of Heian County. Since the Gu fellow wanted to attack Heian County, he wouldn't be alone. He would at least bring some people with him. The soul-chasing bees couldn't detect golden core cultivators, but it wasn't difficult for them to detect Violet Palace Realm and Foundation Establishment cultivators. Not long after, the soul-chasing bees sent news that more than 10 flying warships were heading north from Wanchuan Market. Wang Daoyuan recalled all the soul-chasing bees and hid himself to search for traces of the golden core cultivators. 6 hours later, the flying warship appeared 1,000 miles south of the border of the 2 counties. When he got closer, he saw an auspicious cloud in front of the flying warship. Wang Daoyuan sighed. As expected of someone from a big clan. He's so courageous. He didn't hide himself when the battle started and wasn't afraid of being ambushed. The flying warship was flying in a straight line. Wang Daoyuan wanted to wait for him. He flew to the place where he was about to pass by, concealed himself, and remained motionless. In this way, he could avoid disturbing the airflow while flying, making it harder for his opponent to discover him. When he was in front of him, he used the 5 elements Devil Suppression Seal and smashed the black brick on his head. Last time, he had used this method to instantly subdue Zhao Lingyan. Even if that Gu guy had some tricks up his sleeves, he would still lose a layer of skin if he didn't die from the 5 elements Devil Suppression Seal at such a close distance. In less than a quarter of an hour, the man surnamed Gu arrived at a distance of more than 10 miles in front of Wang Daoyuan. This person was dressed in a blue robe and looked to be in his 20s. His body did not seem to have decayed at all. Instead, he had a vigorous aura. He was at most 300 years old. To be able to cultivate to the middle stage of the Aurus Core realm at this age was indeed something to be proud of. Wang Daoyuan controlled the 5 Destiny Dermic weapons and fused them into the 5 elements Fiend Suppression Seal in his Dantian. By the time the man surnamed Gu was about 30 meters away from him, the Five Elements Devil subduing seal smashed towards him with all its might. Although this Gu guy was traveling at the same speed as the flying warship behind him, he could still travel 5,000 to 6,000 miles in 2 hours. There was no time for him to react at a distance of 30 meters. He had just sensed the spirit energy fluctuations when the Five Elements Devil suppression seal smashed towards him. The Gu family was indeed a family with a heritage of thousands of years. They were truly well endowed. Before the Five Elements Devil suppression seal could touch him, a water blue light barrier lit up. This water blue light barrier should be a defensive single-use dermic weapon or something like a spirit talisman. It was at the late stage of the Aurous Core realm, but it was not enough to withstand Wang Daoyuan's attack. A moment later, the water blue light barrier shattered and the Five Elements Devil suppression seal's power was reduced by 40 to 50%. However, this Gu guy did not even have time to use a defensive dermic spell. The remaining power was enough to smash his head. At the same time that the water blue light barrier shattered, the shadow of a 3-inch sword flew out from between his brows and slashed at the Five Elements Devil suppression seal. This 3-inch sword was quite powerful. It exhausted the Five Elements Devil suppression seal's power and also shattered itself. After destroying the small sword, the Five Elements Devil suppression seal did not have much power left. It smashed onto the Gu guy's head and smashed him down from the cloud. However, he was not seriously injured. His head was just buzzing. Wang Daoyuan withdrew the Five Elements Devil suppression seal. After injecting spirit energy, it smashed towards his head again. In just a few breaths' time, the Gu guy fell into the clear glass river below. The Five Elements Devil suppression seal followed closely behind with a suppressive force. Before the seal landed, 5 water blue flood dragons suddenly flew out of the water. These flood dragons formed by the river water only lasted for 2 breaths' time under the Devil suppression seal before they were smashed into splashes of water. However, this also bought time for the Gu guy to escape. He hurriedly used an escape technique and turned into a flood dragon, fleeing south along the clear glass river. The flying warships in the air were also somewhat dumbfounded. Their Aurous Core realm cultivator had been smashed by a black brick. They did not dare to get involved in a battle between Aurous Core realm cultivators and could only take a detour to the south. This Gu guy was a water attribute cultivator and was like a fish in water in the clear glass river. Furthermore, his spell was very similar to the water dragon technique. However, he had managed to sneak attack and break 2 of his life-saving methods. How could he let him escape? Wang Daoyuan landed on the surface of the river and withdrew the Devil suppression seal. With a light wave of his hand, a black tortoise purgatory with a diameter of 100 feet appeared, enveloping the Gu guy who had escaped more than 10 miles away. Then, a large amount of black water spirit energy appeared within the black tortoise purgatory. In public, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to expose the Gui water death flames. However, just this water spiritual energy was enough to make him suffer a lot. The Gu guy took out a water blue shield, forming a light barrier to block the invasion of the black spirit energy. Then, he took out a long sword, wanting to break through the black tortoise purgatory. The Gu guy wanted to rely on a long sword to break through the black tortoise purgatory. It was simply wishful thinking. Wang Daoyuan did not intend to continue wasting time with him and continued to shrink the black tortoise purgatory. This time, the Gu guy panicked. If this continued, he would not even have a chance to resist. The water attribute spirit energy in his body surged and instantly turned into 500 feet long flood dragons, blocking the black tortoise purgatory. These flood dragons were also quite extraordinary and the black tortoise purgatory was unable to continue shrinking. Wang Daoyuan was also too lazy to continue wasting time with him. He controlled the Five Elements Devil suppression seal and smashed it towards him. The Gu guy held the long sword in his hand and a purple light shone between his eyebrows. A 10-foot-long water-blue flood dragon phantom flew out from the long sword. The 5 flood dragons that were blocking the black tortoise purgatory merged with the magic weapon. Then, the sword stabbed out and the flood dragons crashed into the black tortoise purgatory. A moment later, a 3-foot-wide hole appeared in the black tortoise purgatory. The flood dragons brought the goo guy out of the black tortoise purgatory. The goo guy's all-out attack was comparable to the all-out attack of an ordinary late-stage golden core cultivator. He was not weak either. If not for the black brick, it would have taken a lot of effort to take him down. At this moment, the flood dragon's power had been mostly depleted. The goo guy had used up a lot of his energy after using his all-out attack. He would not be able to use such an attack again in a short period of time. However, the 5 elements devil suppression seal was already 100 feet away from him. The goo guy had used up too much of his spirit energy and was unable to escape from the devil suppression seal suppression. He could only inject the remaining spirit energy in his body into the flood dragon phantom and prepare to resist the devil suppression seal. With his remaining spirit energy and the fact that he had changed his move in a hurry, he could not even use up 30% of the devil suppression seal's power. This time, he would not be able to withstand it no matter what. At this moment, an earthen yellow-maned Kirin phantom flew over and blocked the goo guy's path. The devil suppression seal smashed onto the yellow-maned Kirin. The goo guy's flood dragon also came to resist the devil suppression seal. After a series of collisions, the yellow-maned Kirin and flood dragon both dissipated. The 5 elements devil suppression seal's power was also exhausted. The goo guy's spirit energy and spiritual sense were completely depleted. He was unable to continue fighting. At this moment, a laugh came from all directions. "Little friend Wang, where it is possible to make mistakes, one should spare them." Chapter 589. This yellow-maned Kirin's power isn't bad. Just a spell alone has 80 to 90% of the 5 elements devil suppression seal's power. In a direct confrontation, Wang Daoyuan isn't as strong as this person. He withdrew the 5 elements devil suppression seal to protect himself. Using the 5 elements devil suppression seal multiple times in a short period of time has consumed a lot of Wang Daoyuan's spirit power and spiritual sense. With the space's Ling Qi replenishment, his spirit power isn't a big problem, but his spiritual sense can't be replenished in a short period of time. At this time, facing a cultivator above him in a direct confrontation is still very risky. However, he can't let his opponent see through him, sneering, "You want to take my territory and talk about mercy, don't you think it's funny?" A cultivator wearing a yellow robe came out from the soil on the river bank. This person's hair and beard were all white, his body emitting a decaying aura. He's at least 800 years old. He's at Aurus Core late stage. His spirit power fluctuations are above the 3 Zhao clan cultivators he met before. He's not far from Aurus Core peak. He stroked his beard. "We've come to take back our territory. His Majesty has already bestowed Qingli County to my Gu clan. This is now my Gu clan's territory." As for the Wang clan, they dared to insult His Majesty and resist His Majesty's army. However, His Majesty is benevolent. If your little friend turns traitor and surrenders, you'll still be bestowed the title of Marquis. If you're stubborn, we won't dare to touch you, Lei Yan's disciple. But if we can suppress you and then destroy the Wang clan, it'll be easy. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan understood the reason for the long-legged prince's strange actions. He's probably trying to rope in the 13 Linhai clans and promise them all the benefits that Zhao can offer. No wonder he wanted to recruit the old clans of Zhao, including the Wang clan, but didn't give them any benefits, instead harming the Wang clan's interests. If he makes any more promises to the old clans, it may cause the 13 Linhai clans to be dissatisfied. He's cutting off the old clan's flesh to feed the 13 Linhai clans. In his view, how can the Foundation establishment and Zifu clans of Zhao compare to the Aurus Core clans of Linhai State? The 13 families of Lin Hai had a total of more than 10 Jindan stage cultivators. In addition to the gold core cultivators of the Zhao clan, they could probably gather 20 gold core cultivators. This strength was already enough to contend with the strength of the 3 major sections. Of course, it was hard to say whether the long-legged prince could rope in all 13 families. Currently, most of the forces of the 3 great sects were being held back at the Martial Success Pass. The 13 Lin Hai families did not dare to send all of their golden core cultivators to the west of the Heavenly/Mountain Range. If all of them died, the 13 Lin Hai families would be finished. After all, Lin Hai Prefecture was known for its many desperados. Wang Daoyuan said disdainfully, "What does the long-legged prince's reward have to do with me? His words have no effect on me." The yellow-robed cultivator smiled and said, "Of course, who the territory belongs to can't just depend on a few words from His Majesty. It also depends on strength. And with little friend strength, he won't be able to protect his territory." Wang Daoyuan immediately concealed his figure and reappeared a few breaths later. However, he had moved 5 or 6 li to the east. Only then did he smile and say, "I'm not Daoyu's match in a head-on confrontation, but you can't do anything to me either. If you insist on dragging it out, I'm not afraid. At worst, I'll give up on my clan and sneak into Lin Hai Prefecture to kill all of the Gu clansmen. Moreover, I'm now more than 220 years old and still have more than 700 years to live. How many more years can Daoyu maintain his strength advantage? I'm not your match, but I can make you lose more than you gain. This is also the survival method of the weak." The yellow-robed cultivator's expression changed slightly, but he quickly concealed it. "You want to scare us off with just a few words? Little friend, you're underestimating my Gu clan too much. Let's have a good spar. Who knows, I might have a way to capture and kill Daoyu." Wang Daoyuan also smiled and replied, "You're right. We should have a spar. Who knows, I might be able to keep both of you here." With that, he made the first move and used the black tortoise purgatory to trap the yellow-robed cultivator. A huge yellow-maned Kirin appeared on the yellow-robed cultivator's body and supported the black tortoise purgatory. Wang Daoyuan tried to shrink the black tortoise purgatory, but to no avail. The yellow-robed cultivator looked carefully at the black tortoise purgatory and smiled. "It's rumored that the Wang clan's overturned sea art and my Gu clan's flood dragon overturned sea art come from the same source. Now, it seems like the rumors are true. If we compare the 2 cultivation techniques, we might be able to create an even more profound cultivation technique. However, your cultivation technique isn't bad either. Your water attribute spirit energy actually carries such dense yin qi that it can corrode one's consciousness and soul. After I defeat you, if you hand over your cultivation technique, I can spare your life." Wang Daoyuan also felt that the flood dragon condensed by the young Gu clan cultivator was extremely similar to the Wang clan's water dragon technique. He replied, "There's no point in talking about this. Let's fight." With that, he separated the white tiger blade from the 5 elements devil suppression seal. Then, he used the heaven-sealing sword prison. 108 sword phantoms charged into the black tortoise purgatory and formed a sword formation that surrounded the yellow-robed cultivator. The yellow-robed cultivator didn't panic even though he was surrounded by 2 types of magic. The yellow-maned Kirin on his body roared towards the sky and emitted rays of earthy yellow light. When the light dissipated, the heaven-sealing sword prison was shattered. The yellow-maned Kirin's power was also reduced by more than half. Wang Daoyuan took the opportunity to shrink the black tortoise purgatory. The yellow-robed cultivator still looked confident as he took out a double-eared halberd refined from the bones of a demonic beast. The halberd's ears seemed to be refined from the horns of a Kirin demonic beast. Although Kirin horns looked similar to dragon horns, they were completely different. Kirin didn't wander around like dragons. Demonic beasts with the bloodline of Kirin were extremely rare. The halberd didn't have a sharpened edge and looked extremely heavy. The yellow-robed cultivator held the heaven-sealing halberd with both hands and swung it with all his might. A ray of earthy yellow light flashed and the black tortoise purgatory shattered. In the 5 elements, earth suppressed water. This yellow-robed cultivator was also a late-stage golden core cultivator. It was reasonable that his all-out attack could break the black tortoise purgatory. Then, he swung the heaven-sealing halberd and a few rays of earthy yellow light shot out from the halberd. This thing was a bit like a sword beam. It was a blade-type magic weapon and its usage was similar to that of a flying sword. Wang Daoyuan used the sword shadow divine light technique and condensed 10 sword phantoms to protect himself. Then, he swung the white tiger blade continuously and slashed out rays of sword light. The sword light collided with the earthy yellow light. 2 sword lights were needed to offset 1 earthy yellow light. However, Wang Daoyuan didn't mind. Swinging the sword was much easier than swinging the heaven-sealing halberd. It wasn't a bad idea to continue like this. The yellow-robed cultivator wasn't stupid. He stopped swinging the halberd and condensed yellow sand instead. Then, the yellow-robed cultivator disappeared. He wanted to use an escape technique to launch a sneak attack. Wang Daoyuan wasn't going to sit still and wait for death. He used the cloud mist escape and retreated. However, he still couldn't avoid the attack completely. The halberd swung over and Wang Daoyuan blocked it with his sword. The 10 sword phantoms shattered and the spirit energy in the white tiger blade was depleted. He was sent flying more than 1,000 feet away and his blood qi was boiling. He had already suffered internal injuries. This person's physical strength was even stronger than his. He must be a body-tempering cultivator as well. The yellow-robed cultivator praised, "To be able to receive my all-out attack as a mid-stage golden core, your physical strength isn't weak either. Your strength is far above Changqing's." Again. With that, he swung the halberd towards Wang Daoyuan once more. Wang Daoyuan fused the white tiger blade with the 5 elements fiend suppression seal and used it against the heaven-sealing halberd. Both of their foreheads shone with a purple light as they used purple palace resonance. An ear-piercing sound echoed and both of them retreated thousands of feet. Both the fiend suppression seal and the halberd were severely damaged. Both of them were affected by their natal dermic artifacts and blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. However, Wang Daoyuan's injuries were much more serious and he retreated further. This person's escape technique was better than his. It was impossible to escape from this person with an escape technique. He was the guardian of South Yen County. Once he was defeated, many families in South Yen County would definitely seek refuge with the long-legged prince. The prestige and power that the administrator's residence had built up over the years would also collapse. Now that things had come to this, he could only expose the red-feathered crow. Chapter 590. Both of them were injured in this fight. The yellow-robed cultivator did not continue to attack. They were both recovering from their injuries. Wang Daoyuan took the opportunity to summon the red-feathered crow from the spiritual pearl space. The crow cawed and the half-divine beast's aura spread out. The yellow-robed cultivator was in the late-stage golden core stage. He was stunned. The red-feathered crow looked very similar to the golden crow. In addition, it was covered in red and gold flames. Some differences were not easy to see. However, the yellow-robed cultivator was an old fox. He quickly noticed the abnormality. The red-feathered crow was only in the lower 4th stage. No matter how strong it was, it could not defeat him. At most, it could defeat most mid-stage golden core cultivators. Wang Daoyuan smiled. With my strength, how long would it take for Daoyu to defeat me? I wonder how long fellow Daoist Gu Chongqing can last against the golden crow. Then, he took out a jar of 100-year-old and 1,000-year-old spirit peach dew and drank a few mouthfuls. The yellow-robed cultivator's expression changed. Normally, even if he could not defeat the Golden Crow, he could escape unscathed. However, he had used up all his spirit chi and divine sense. Even with elixirs, he could not recover much of his strength in a short time. At this time, any early-stage Golden Core cultivator could easily kill him, let alone a half-divine beast that was stronger than most mid-stage Golden Core cultivators. Wang Daoyuan did not give him a chance to think. Both of their natal Dharma artifacts were damaged. All that was left was to compete with Dharma spells and resources. He put the 5 elements demon suppression seal back into his dantian and split it into 5 Dharma artifacts. He activated the Azure Dragon Pearl to heal his internal injuries. The yellow-robed cultivator's natal Dharma artifact was also damaged. He could not use much power. It was unlikely that a body-tempering cultivator would have powerful Dharma spells. Wang Daoyuan ate an Essence Soul Awakening pill to recover his divine sense. This pill was given to him by his master when he was in the mid-stage of the Purple Palace realm. The Essence Soul Awakening pill was an upper-grade 3rd-stage elixir. It was not very effective for Golden Core cultivators, but it was still useful. Phase that could replenish divine sense were already rare, and Tier 4 phase were even rarer. It was already considered good to have a Tier 3 high-grade elixir. Since the yellow-robed cultivator was injured, he was in no hurry to attack and consume the few elixirs. Even if he didn't have time to refine it, he could still absorb it slowly. It was better than nothing. Wang Daoyuan commanded the Red-Winged Crow to fly towards Gu Changqing. The yellow-robed cultivator wanted to help, but Wang Daoyuan immediately used Black Tortoise Purgatory to trap him. However, the yellow-robed cultivator was not easy to deal with. A burst of yellow sand appeared, and he actually dodged the Black Tortoise Purgatory. Wang Daoyuan did not give him a chance to breathe, dispersing the Black Tortoise Purgatory. Then, Huang Xiaolong chased after Huang Xiaolong with the Misty Cloud Escape and the Black Tortoise Purgatory. No matter how brilliant the yellow-robed cultivator's escape technique was, using it consecutively for a short period of time would consume a lot of his spiritual energy and put a lot of pressure on his body. After dodging 3 times, he was trapped by the 4th Black Tortoise Purgatory. On the other side, the Red-Winged Crow turned into a red and gold sun and charged towards Gu Changqing at an extremely fast speed. Gu Changqing had taken some elixirs to recover his spiritual energy and divine consciousness, but it was too short and he did not recover much. Even if he was in his best condition, he might not be a match for the Red-Winged Crow. Moreover, he could not use much power now. He did not dare to fight the Red-Winged Crow head-on. Instead, he used his escape technique and turned into a flood dragon, escaping into the Clear Glass River. The Clear Glass River was endless. It was a wise choice to use it to resist the Red-Winged Crow. However, the Red-Winged Crow's natal spiritual fire was not to be trifled with. It chased after Gu Changqing, spitting out flames continuously. Clouds of mist rose from the river surface. Gu Changqing was almost engulfed by the flames several times. The Golden Crow was a divine bird known for its speed. Gu Changqing could not shake it off. The yellow-robed cultivator was trapped by the Black Tortoise Purgatory and could not help at the moment. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Black Tortoise Purgatory to shrink. The smaller the Black Tortoise Purgatory, the thicker the water wall and the harder it was to break through. As long as it was small enough, it could squeeze the yellow-robed cultivator to death. The yellow-robed cultivator did not wait for death. Instead, he formed the yellow-maned Kirin's shadow to resist the Black Tortoise Purgatory. The yellow-maned Kirin was much weaker than before. It could barely stop the Black Tortoise Purgatory from shrinking. The yellow light on his body flashed and merged with the yellow-maned Kirin's body. Kirin's aura grew stronger. Then, he merged with the Kirin's shadow. Purple light flashed between his eyebrows. He clenched his fists and punched the Black Tortoise Purgatory's water wall. The Kirin's shadow also lifted its front hooves and stomped on the water wall. Wang Daoyuan continued to inject spiritual energy into the Black Tortoise Purgatory and used his Purple Mansion resonance. The Black Tortoise Purgatory shook, but it was not broken. Wang Daoyuan suddenly felt that when his Purple Mansion resonance, the Black Tortoise Avatar's aura had changed significantly. He felt that the Black Tortoise's aura's power was about to increase tremendously, but something was stopping it. The Avatar's soul-devouring divine power had a minor divine power. Wang Daoyuan had sensed the Avatar's soul-devouring divine power many times and controlled it personally. He was familiar with this feeling. If the Black Tortoise's aura changed qualitatively, it might be a minor divine power. However, the human race and the demon race could not be lumped together. Whether it was true or not, he had to go back and ask Zhou Wan. The yellow-robed cultivator attacked with all his might again. The Black Tortoise Purgatory collapsed and turned into mist. His enlightenment was interrupted. Wang Daoyuan looked regretful. If he had held on a little longer, he might have comprehended a minor divine power. Meanwhile, Gu Chongqing had brushed past the Red-Winged Crow's attacks many times. He was in danger. Just as he was about to use the Black Tortoise Purgatory again, the yellow-robed cultivator took out a palm-sized jade pendant and said, "Wang Daoyu, the Gu family admits defeat. We'll never invade Yannan County again. How about we call it quits? This is a beast soul talisman. It's made from the 4th level upper-grade yellow-maned Kirin's soul. Once activated, you can summon yellow-maned Kirin's soul to help you in battle. Dao Yu might not be able to defeat yellow-maned Kirin in your current state." Wang Daoyuan shook his head. "You think I've done my best? If I really took out all my trump cards, I wouldn't care about a mere beast soul talisman. You invaded Yannan County for no reason and forced me to expose the existence of the Golden Crow. You think I'll let this go with just one sentence?" The yellow-robed cultivator was prepared to be ripped off. He said, "Dao Yu, what do you want? Just say it." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "I think your beast soul talisman looks good." The yellow-robed cultivator quickly refused. "I've lived for almost 900 years. Do you think I'll be fooled by you? If I hand over the beast soul talisman, I'm afraid we'll both die here. If that's the case, I can only detonate my golden core and send Dao Yu away." This bastard's escape technique was faster than the cloud escape. If he was determined to detonate his golden core, Wang Daoyuan might not be able to survive. Then you should have the supplementary herbs for refining the golden core pill and the purple gold chalcedony fruit, right? The yellow-robed cultivator smiled. "The family has it. I don't have it with me. How about I order someone to send it over another day? Who owes money to buy one's life?" Wang Daoyuan's face darkened. "Then you should detonate your golden core. I'd like to see if I can withstand it." The yellow-robed cultivator quickly said, "Dao Yu, don't worry. I have the method to refine the beast soul talisman. Do you think I can compensate you for your loss?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "The 4th-level beast soul talisman requires the soul of a 4th-level demon beast. In order to ensure its power, it can't be an ordinary 4th-level demon beast. The price is too high. I can't afford it. Your family's flood dragon sea overturning technique is quite interesting. Why don't you use it to buy your life?" The yellow-robed cultivator rejected him sternly. "How can I show my family's inheritance to others so easily?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. "The flood dragon sea overturning technique is more advanced than your Gu family's. I only want your family's inheritance as a reference. I don't need much. Just give me the part below the golden core. Also, I can't give you any less. If you don't give it to me, then you can just wait to collect Gu Chongqing's corpse." This item wasn't of much use to Wang Daoyuan, but it was of great significance to perfecting his family's inheritance. This was especially true for his 12th uncle. If he wanted to improve his cultivation technique in the future, this flood dragon sea overturning technique would be an excellent reference. The yellow-robed cultivator pondered for a moment before nodding. I'll give it to you. Hurry up and tell the golden crow to stop. Chapter 591. By now, the golden crow was hundreds of miles away from Gu Chongqing. However, Wang Daoyuan had the golden crow as his master. At this distance, he could communicate with it without using his divine consciousness. He ordered the red-feathered crow to stop attacking. Of course, he couldn't let Gu Chongqing escape. The red-feathered crow was still flying above him. Gu Chongqing was a hostage now. If he let the yellow-robed cultivator escape, Wang Daoyuan wasn't confident that he could stop him. The yellow-robed cultivator also sent a message to Gu Chongqing, asking him to come over. After a few breaths, Gu Chongqing arrived at the place where Wang Daoyuan and the yellow-robed cultivator were fighting. The red-feathered crow followed him. The yellow-robed cultivator said, "Chongqing, record the previous parts of the flood dragon sea-filling technique golden core. Don't leave out the accompanying dharma spells." Gu Chongqing was stunned, but he didn't refuse. Wang Daoyuan took out more than 10 blank jade slips from his storage bag and handed them to Gu Chongqing. He smiled. "I've seen the flood dragon sea-filling technique. I can tell if it's real or fake. Don't try to fool me with a fake one." Gu Chongqing felt humiliated. He came here in high spirits, wanting to defeat Wang Daoyuan and make a name for himself. He didn't expect to be tricked. He used up 2 life-saving items and had to rely on his family's elders to save his life. Now, even his family's elders were involved. He had to give up his family's inheritance in exchange for his life. However, he was being chased by the golden crow and was panicking like a stray dog. He didn't have the guts to refuse. He could only record the jade slips obediently. After a few breaths, the jade slips were completed. Wang Daoyuan took the jade slips and checked them with his divine consciousness. There was nothing wrong with the content. It was obviously from the same source as the flood dragon sea-filling technique. However, there were obvious signs of repair. The Gu family's ancestor probably got the incomplete version and repaired it himself. His ancestor's flood dragon sea-filling technique was the complete inheritance. It was improved with the help of the dragonfish. The accompanying dharma spell was interesting. It was the 5 flood dragon shadows that Gu Chongqing used before. It was called flood dragon sea-filling technique. It was similar to the Wang family's water dragon sea-filling technique. It must have been repaired by the incomplete thousand dragon sea-filling technique. There was also the escape technique that Gu Chongqing used to avoid the golden crow. It was called the flood dragon escape. It should have been created with the 10,000 dragon sea turner as the foundation. The level of this escape technique was not low. Although using it outside the water consumed a lot of spiritual power and slowed down the speed of the escape technique, it was still very fast. However, in the water, his speed was much faster than the cloud mist escape. This was very suitable for the environment of Linhai Prefecture. There was the mouth of the 10,000 rivers, and to the east was the sea. It was very important to have a fast escape technique in the water. Moreover, when the flood dragon escape art was used to escape, it also had a certain degree of offensive and defensive capabilities. This was the same as the Scarlet One escape art. Although it consumed a lot of spiritual energy, it could still be used as a reference. After a round of confirmation, Wang Daoyuan said coldly, "There are no problems with the cultivation method and the spell. This matter is considered over. Go back and tell your group that if they dare to step into Yannan County's territory again, they will be killed without mercy." The yellow-robed cultivator smiled and said, "Daoyu, don't worry. I will definitely pass on the message." With that, the yellow-robed cultivator left with Gu Chongqing. Wang Daoyuan also took the red-feathered crow and headed north. The red-feathered crow's body was burning with red and gold flames. It really looked like a divine bird. Wherever it passed, the cultivators and mortals on the ground looked at it in awe. Since the red-feathered crow had been exposed, he might as well use it to intimidate the weak. A level 4 half-divine beast could live for more than 5,000 years without a problem. With the red-feathered crow in charge, Yannan County would have a golden core battle power for thousands of years. After more than 4 hours, Wang Daoyuan returned to Yuchuan Peak. Under the curious gazes of his clansmen, he brought the red-feathered crow to the bottom of the earth fire chamber. Since the red-feathered crow had shown up, he had to let it show up more often. It was better to set up a nest for it at Yuchuan Peak, so that no one would suspect anything. Wang Daoyuan cut a blood-fire hibiscus branch from the spiritual pearl and planted it at the bottom of the earth fire chamber by the lava lake. He had already thought of an excuse. He would say that he brought it back from the treasure cauldron mountain. It was not strange that a branch of a level 4 spiritual tree could live for dozens of years. Then, he put the red-feathered crow into the spiritual pearl and entered the cave. Zhou Wan was waiting for him beside the earth fire chamber. When she saw him return, she asked, "How's your injury?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. "It's a small injury caused by the damage to my natal Dharma artifact. I used the Tsang Dragon Pearl to heal it. It's no longer a big problem." Zhou Wan sighed in relief. "It's good that you're fine. The yellow-robed cultivator you fought with is called Gu Qingfeng. He's the Grand Elder of Linhai Prefecture's Gu clan. His strength is above average among the Golden Core cultivators under the long-legged prince. However, he's proficient in escape techniques. He's not easy to deal with. This Gu Daoyu is really powerful. If I didn't threaten him with Gu Changqing's life, would have to expose the 5 elements spiritual fire. However, he also helped me a lot. When I fought with him, I felt that the black tortoise's charm was about to have a great breakthrough, but I also felt that there were some obstacles. This should be about to comprehend a lesser abhijna. Did you have this feeling before you comprehended a lesser abhijna? Zhou Wan nodded. After condensing the embryonic form of the golden core, before going through the tribulation, I did feel that the red phoenix's charm was about to have a breakthrough, but there were some obstacles. When the lesser abhijna tribulation arrived, the obstacle disappeared automatically. Logically speaking, with this feeling, you should be able to comprehend a lesser abhijna. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself. Zhou Wan relied on the lesser abhijna tribulation to break through the obstacle. However, he didn't have a battle constitution. He relied entirely on his own comprehension to reach this step. There was no lesser abhijna tribulation at all. His master from another lifetime, the 5 elements spiritual master, didn't comprehend a lesser abhijna. There were no records of this in his experience. Wang Daoyuan really didn't know how to break through this obstacle and comprehend a lesser abhijna. Zhou Wan looked at his dejected face and comforted him. In Blood Shadow's intelligence, there were records of lesser abhijnas of a few cultivators with 5 spiritual roots. Without exception, their lesser abhijnas were all complete of the 5 elements. Right now, only the black tortoise's charm is about to break through. The other 4 divine beasts' charms haven't shown any signs yet. If the 5 divine beasts' charms all reach this level, you'll naturally comprehend a lesser abhijna. Zhou Wan's words enlightened him. Every aspect of a cultivator with 5 spiritual roots cultivation was to achieve the balance of the 5 elements as much as possible. Right now, only the black tortoise's charm showed signs of breaking through. It didn't conform to the balance of the 5 elements. It was easier said than done to comprehend the charms of the other divine beasts to the point where they were about to break through. However, Wang Daoyuan wasn't discouraged. At least this was a clear goal. As long as he achieved this goal, he would be able to comprehend a lesser abhijna. For ordinary people to comprehend lesser abhijnas, it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. With the guidance of a cultivator who had comprehended lesser abhijnas, it was like looking for a needle in a lake. Even with the secret method in the essence of abhijnas, it was like looking for a needle in a pond. Although the probability had increased by a lot, it still depended on luck. If one was unlucky, they wouldn't be able to comprehend it in their lifetime. Hardships and sacrifices weren't scary. What was scary was that after giving everything, there was still nothing to be gained. Now that he had a clear goal, the experience of comprehending the black tortoise's charm had given him a reliable path. As long as he followed this path, he would be able to comprehend lesser abhijnas. No matter how difficult it was, he would be able to grit his teeth and persevere. Wang Daoyuan spent a month's time to completely repair his natal magic weapon. Then, he began to deepen his comprehension of the 5 divine beasts' charms. Simply using the secret method in the essence of abhijnas to cultivate was not very useful. Wang Daoyuan had already cultivated the secret method for many years. The divine beasts' charms had strengthened, but he didn't feel like they were about to break through. This time, the black tortoise's charm was about to break through. It should be due to improving the spell. In this improvement process, the spell must be compatible with the corresponding divine beast's charms. This process couldn't be avoided without studying the divine beast's charms. The focus in the future would naturally be on improving the spell. The 5 natal magic weapons all had spells attached to them. It just so happened that these spells were the foundation. He had modified it to be able to cast spells without the use of his natal Dharma artifact. Chapter 592. The Azure Dragon Pearl's life force extraction and healing spells were not bad on their own, so he did not need to modify them much. In the future, whether it was healing or extracting the enemy's life force, he could save the time of summoning a Dharma artifact. The Kirin Seal also had an accompanying spell called Kirin Demon Suppression, which was a spell that used the power of suppression. The Kirin Seal's suppressive power mainly came from the material. The Kirin Divine Beast's suppressive power was not outstanding. If he did not use the Kirin Seal and directly used Kirin Demon Suppression, the power would not be much. As an auspicious divine beast, Kirin's main ability was to resolve disasters. This ability had some restraining effect on all evil. For example, dirty tricks like curses were greatly reduced in power in front of Kirin's charm. However, he could modify the Kirin Demon Suppression so that it could restrain all kinds of dirty tricks. The Vermilion Bird Fan had the Vermilion Bird Fire Control Technique, which was similar to the Heaven-Burning Divine Fire Technique. He did not spend time comprehending the charm of the Baifeng Divine Bird. After reaching the Golden Core stage, the power of the Heaven-Burning Divine Fire Technique was not enough. However, it could still be used as a reference. The White Tiger Blade was more special. It had to be directly used with the Sword Shadow Divine Light Technique, which also involved man and sword becoming one. Although Wang Daoyuan often used sword cultivation spells, he did not take the Tao of sword cultivation too seriously. He only used it as one of his many methods and did not put in the effort to comprehend man and sword becoming one. If he were to comprehend man and sword becoming one now, who knew how much time it would take? Therefore, it was better to condense the White Tiger Phantom and use spells that had nothing to do with sword cultivation. As for the spell related to the White Tiger, Wang Daoyuan also had a target. Yun Yi's roar was not bad. Even opponents with higher cultivation levels than her would be frightened by a tiger's roar. Raising a tiger for 1,000 days, using it for a moment. This guy ate roasted meat all day. It was time for it to contribute. The Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird spells did not need to be modified. They could be used after being condensed. It was the simplest. Wang Daoyuan still decided to go easy first. He would first settle the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird's charm. With the experience of tormenting the black tortoise's silhouette, it wasn't difficult for him to condense a divine beast silhouette. He would be able to succeed in 3 to 5 days. It only took him a little more than half a month to successfully condense all the divine beast phantoms. Then, he improved the healing and life force extraction spells that came with the Azure Dragon Pearl. It took him 2 months to complete the improvement of the 2 spells, and he could use them without the help of the Azure Dragon Pearl. Wang Daoyuan gave these 2 spells names, Azure Dragon Life Snatching Technique and Azure Dragon Reversal Technique. He spent another month or so to cultivate the 2 spells to the point where he could cast them without the shadow of the Azure Dragon. After that, he used 2 months to cultivate the Vermilion Bird Fire Control Technique to the point where he could control it flexibly without using the Vermilion Bird's shadow. After dealing with the 2 easiest ones, the next step was to improve Kirin's demon suppression. Wang Daoyuan wanted to improve Kirin's demon suppression into a spell that could restrain all evil, but he didn't have such a spell as a reference. He could only add more things to this spell that matched the charm. After casting, the Kirin's shadow flickered with an earthy yellow light. Wang Daoyuan used some evil cultivation methods, and under this earthy yellow light, their power was indeed weakened by 10 to 20%. This spell was renamed Kirin's Demon Suppression. To be able to improve it to this point, he had achieved his goal. It wouldn't be too late to improve it when he encountered a more advanced spell in the future. It took him half a year to cultivate Kirin's Demon Suppression to the point where he could cast it without the shadow of the Kirin. Then, he left Jade Spring Peak and came to the easternmost part of Fallen Dragon Ridge. A large number of monsters from the north of the mountain fled to the south, fighting for territory with the monsters from the south of the mountain. The losers could only escape. Fallen Dragon Ridge often had rank 3 monsters wandering around without a territory. Once a monster approached, the Thunder Ape and Yunyi would attack. Wang Daoyuan hid his whereabouts and arrived at the easternmost part of Fallen Dragon Ridge. He just happened to see 2 middle-grade rank 3 monsters invading Fallen Dragon Ridge. These 2 demonic beasts were of the wolf species. They had silver fur, and other than that, there was nothing special about them. He didn't need to personally deal with these 2 silver wolves. As soon as the silver wolves entered within 50 miles of Fallen Dragon Ridge, the Thunder Ape ran out with a stick. This stick was more than 10 feet long and was a middle-grade rank 3 magic weapon forged from star steel. Other than being sturdy and durable, it didn't have any other advantages. However, it was very suitable for the Thunder Ape who liked to fight hand-to-hand. The Thunder Ape held the stick and fought with the 2 silver wolves. These 2 silver wolves were not weak, and the Thunder Ape couldn't win for the time being. Yunyi also flew out of Fallen Dragon Ridge and used her roar to intimidate the 2 silver wolves. With a tiger's roar, the 2 silver wolves trembled subconsciously and were stunned for half a breath's time. The Thunder Ape seized the opportunity and smashed the head of one of the silver wolves. There was only 1 silver wolf left, and it was no match for the Thunder Ape. In less than half a cup of tea's time, it died tragically under the stick. The 2 guys returned to Fallen Dragon Ridge with the corpse, and Wang Daoyuan also landed on the mountain. He came to Yunyi with a smile and tried to persuade it. This guy was lazy and gluttonous. It was harder to make it obediently let out a tiger's roar than to reach the sky. After discussing with it for a long time, it finally agreed to give him 20 kilograms of roasted meat and let out a roar. After half a year, he was finally able to simulate Yunyi's roar with the white tiger phantom. In this half a year, no monster dared to approach Fallen Dragon Ridge. The tiger's roar he imitated had the effect of intimidating the soul, but the power was not ideal. Yunyi's rank 3 cultivation base could temporarily stun a rank 3 upper-grade monster with the tiger's roar. Wang Daoyuan's cultivation was at the mid-Aurus core stage. The spells he cast could only stun early Aurus core stage cultivators. It was useless against experts, but it had a miraculous effect against a large group of low-level cultivators. After a month, he was able to let out a tiger's roar without the help of the white tiger phantom. He named this tiger's roar soul-subduing technique. When the black tortoise's charm felt like it was about to break through, he used the black tortoise purgatory to trap Gu Chengfeng. When the two of them fought, Wang Daoyuan used purple mansion resonance, and the black tortoise's charm felt like it was about to break through. There was no such good sparring partner now, but he still had a secret technique to use. In order to comprehend the divine beast's charm, he obtained the secret technique from Zhou Wan. It allowed him to use a small amount of spiritual sense to perform purple mansion resonance. Wang Daoyuan returned to the underground cave of the Jade Spring Peak and used the secret technique and spiritual sense to cultivate to improve the five elements divine beast's charm. When the spiritual sense was consumed too much, he used the secret technique to strengthen his purple mansion spirit. After a year and a half, the five elements divine beast's charm was on the verge of a breakthrough. Now, he felt that the barrier had become very weak. As long as he blew lightly, he would be able to break through the barrier. He used the corresponding spiritual sense to the five elements divine beast's spiritual sense at the same time and activated the five purple mansion spirit phenomena. Suddenly, he felt that layer of obstruction had already vanished, and he stopped executing his technique and Violet Palace Resonance secret technique. The Jade Spring Peak was calm and peaceful, without the slightest change. The spiritual fishes in the underground cave swam happily and contentedly, and the spiritual plants grew quietly as if nothing had happened. However, Zhou Wan, who was meditating, suddenly woke up and asked, "What minor divine ability did you comprehend? Why do I feel that the surrounding spiritual energy is not right, as if it's being controlled by someone?" Wang Daoyuan carefully sensed his body and the surroundings, then answered, "It should be a minor domain divine ability. Now, the area within 100 miles of me is covered by this minor divine ability. Within this range, I can control all the spiritual energy in this area. I can make them change their attributes and move around." After saying that, he moved his spiritual sense, and all the spiritual energy in the cave gathered in his hand. After 10 breaths, a fist-sized ball of fiery red spiritual energy was formed. The ball of spiritual energy turned into 5 different colors, and its attributes were divided into the 5 elements. Soon after, the ball of spiritual energy ignited and turned into a 5-colored flame. With such a method, he could change the attribute of the spiritual energy in the area covered by the domain, making it counter the attribute of the opponent's spiritual energy. Wherever he went, it would be his home field. Chapter 593. Seeing his control over spiritual energy, Zhou Wan nodded. It's indeed a minor domain-type magical power. Such minor magical powers aren't simple. Blood Shadow's files recorded several ancient cultivators who had minor domain-type magical powers, and all of them were experts. There was a cultivator who comprehended a minor water-type magical power, and he was invincible in water. He once fought with people on the myriad rivers, and with the help of the river's power, he fought against 5 cultivators of the same level and killed them all. Upon hearing this, Wang Daoyuan felt a little strange. Although my minor magical power can control spiritual energy, it doesn't have any particularly powerful methods. Zhou Wan chuckled. You're ignorant, aren't you? Minor magical powers can continue to grow. After breaking through Yuanying, they'll become magical powers. Magical powers will also continue to strengthen as the cultivator's realm increases. For example, my minor flame magical power will only increase in power if it continues to strengthen. At most, I'll comprehend some matching spells. Minor domain-type magical powers can be all-encompassing and can be combined with all kinds of spells. As my comprehension of minor magical powers deepens, I may have new abilities in the future. In particular, your minor magical power domain contains the 5 elements, so there will be more tricks. It's hard to say how much it can grow in the future. Hurry up and try it. See what effect this minor magical power can have when combined with spells. Wang Daoyuan casually cast the rank 1 spell, Golden Sword Technique. A small golden sword flew out and hit the rock wall. The small golden sword directly penetrated half a foot deep into the rock wall. The power is 20% stronger than before. Zhou shook her head and said, "This isn't the power of the domain. All cultivators who comprehend minor magical powers will have their strength increased. When I was transcending the minor magical power tribulation, the power of any spell I cast before or after the tribulation increased by nearly 20%. I'll try attacking you and see if you can affect the opponent's spell." He nodded and cast the black tortoise bright light armor to protect himself. The power of this defensive spell also increased by about 20%. Zhou condensed a fireball. He controlled the spiritual energy around him and converted it all into water type, constantly weakening the fireball's power. When the fireball hit him, its power was reduced by about 10%. Wang Daoyuan was somewhat disappointed. It can only weaken the power of the opponent's spell by 10%. Zhou smiled and said, "For a golden core cultivator, even 10% of the power can't be underestimated. As your comprehension of the laws deepens, the bonus will also increase. Try to see if there are any other effects." Then, he cast Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon and other time-consuming spells. In the end, he discovered that the time required to condense the Golden Rock's image had decreased. In the past, it would have taken him a little more than 5 breaths of time. Moreover, this was already close to the limit. From the foundation establishment stage to the golden core stage, there was no obvious reduction. It only took him 4 breaths of time to cast it in his minor god art domain. Then, he tried to cast multiple spells at the same time. This made him overjoyed. In the past, when he cast multiple spells, each additional spell would increase the consumption of his divine sense by several times. Therefore, even if a cultivator's divine sense was powerful, they would not be willing to cast multiple spells at the same time. Generally, controlling 3 spells at the same time was the limit. Casting multiple spells in the lesser god ability domain didn't give off the feeling of multitasking. It was just like casting a single spell. The consumption of divine sense by casting multiple spells was simply superimposed. There was no situation where the consumption of divine sense multiplied by several times. In the future, he could cast multiple spells at the same time to suppress the enemy in his minor god art domain. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied. The minor god art domain can increase the speed of casting spells and reduce the consumption of divine sense. It's really not bad. By the way, Hall Master, will this minor god art domain be broken? Zhou shook her head and said, "Some minor god arts domain have their own offensive and defensive functions. Just like your black tortoise purgatory, there are obvious boundaries. Such minor god arts domain can be easily broken as long as one is strong enough. Some minor god arts do not have direct offensive and defensive functions, nor do they have obvious boundaries. They only use the laws one has comprehended to affect an area. Without any physical existence, there is no way to break it. Unless the opponent's comprehension of laws surpasses yours and uses their laws to suppress your laws. In this way, your domain will be weakened or even self-destructed. Your minor god art does not have obvious boundaries. It should belong to the latter." This time, Wang Daoyuan was even more satisfied. The minor god art domain could only be suppressed by laws. It could not be broken through by ordinary means. It could only be suppressed by laws. In other words, cultivators without minor god arts could not break his domain. The minor god art domain was his territory. Wang Daoyuan named the minor god art 5 elements purgatory. The only shortcoming of 5 elements purgatory was that maintaining minor god arts consumed a lot of divine sense. Even if he did not cast spells, his divine sense could only maintain minor god arts for about an hour. However, this was not a big deal. As his comprehension of laws deepened, the consumption of divine sense to maintain minor god arts would decrease. When one comprehended a god art to an extremely profound level, one could even not consume divine sense at all. With just a thought, the god art would be formed. He put away the minor god art domain and used the golden sword technique again. The power increased by 20% compared to before he comprehended the minor god art. This should be the ability of all cultivators who comprehended minor god arts. Because before, he was imitating laws. Now, he was holding the laws in his hand and throwing them out. The power itself had increased. It was like the difference between holding a saber and empty-handed. Even if one did not understand sabers, the power of using sabers was stronger than empty-handed. As one's comprehension of laws deepened, this power increase would become stronger and stronger. After comprehending minor god arts, Wang Daoyuan's strength could be ranked among the top among golden core cultivators. If he encountered an opponent like Gu Qingfeng again, he could easily defeat him. There was no need to use other people's juniors as hostages. These years, comprehending minor god arts had consumed a lot of his time. Now, he could finally spend all his time on improving his cultivation. Wang Daoyuan asked with a serious face, "Lord Hall Master, after comprehending minor god arts, can the descendants have a battle constitution?" Zhou Wan did not think much and replied, according to the records in the ancient books, at least until the Yuanying period, when one comprehended a god art, there is a very small chance that the descendants will have a battle constitution. You are now a golden core cultivator, so it shouldn't be possible. What you learn on paper is shallow. You have to do it yourself. Whether it works or not, we can't just look at the records of our predecessors. We have to try it ourselves. Then, the two of them entered the boudoir. In the years that Wang Daoyuan comprehended minor god arts, the situation in the Zhao state had changed a lot. The Zhao family sent cultivators to wipe out the other families. 70 to 80% of the families were beaten by the Zhao family. Most of them surrendered, and a small number were exterminated. With the resources and cannon fodder provided by these families, the long-legged prince became much bolder and sent cultivators to attack the major markets. The golden core cultivators of the three sects were still hiding in their shells and did not show their faces. Currently, among the large markets controlled by the three major sects, only the Three River Market had not fallen. This was the intersection of the three major sects and also the gathering place of the logistics of the Wucheng Pass. If this place fell, the cultivators at the front line of the Wucheng Pass would immediately collapse. The long-legged prince seemed to have the intention of letting the three major sects and the Song state wear each other out. He did not touch the Three River Market at all. Now, his forces were attacking the important industries of the three major sections. Ever since the red-feathered crow was exposed and the father and son surnamed Gu was dealt with, no one dared to come to Yannan County to cause trouble. This was a world where strength mattered. No matter how strong one's backer was, it could only make the opponent hesitate. Moreover, he was not the only one with a backer. The Zhao family also had disciples who joined the four major sections. If he wanted his opponents to not have any ideas about him, he had to rely on his own strength. More than a month later, Yan Hui of the Black Flame Tiger clan sent news that the refined corpses in the ghost cave were acting strangely and asked for his help. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not refuse. These refined corpses were a sword hanging over Yannan County's head. If he did not kill them, he would not be able to sleep well. Just like now, he felt his waist ache even before he got out of bed. Chapter 594. Devouring Spirit also reported that after Yan Hui recovered from his injuries, he gathered more than 10 middle and low-grade rank 4 demonic beasts to continue guarding the entrance of the Ghost Cave. In the past few years, the refined corpses only dared to probe and did not leave the Ghost Cave to fight against the demonic beasts. Soon, Zhou also received news from her Hall Master token. This time, the Yellow Spring Secret Realm sent another high-grade rank 4 refined corpse and 3 middle-grade rank 4 refined corpses to help. From beginning to end, 18 refined corpses had already walked out of the Secret Realm. There were definitely more refined corpses hidden in the Yellow Spring Secret Realm. After all, only 2 of the 3 high-grade rank 4 refined corpses had appeared. In other words, the Yellow Spring Secret Realm might have more than 24th grade refined corpses. The title of 10,000 Corpse Spiritual Master was not given for nothing. With more than 24th grade refined corpses, which cultivator of the same level would dare to fight him alone? Even Master Lei Yan, who was a lightning attribute cultivator, could not do anything when faced with more than 20 refined corpses that could set up formations. With this strength, he could easily kill all the higher-ups of a large sect. However, the 10,000 Corpse Spiritual Master was alone and had no attachments. This kind of person was too dangerous. No wonder he was beaten to death. If he was still alive, he would be killed as long as he dared to show his face. Zhou put away the token and asked, "Do you need my help?" Wang Daoyuan put on his clothes and replied, "No need. I'll bring the Scarlet Feather Crow. The Scarlet Feather Crow's life spiritual fire is much stronger than my Scarlet Yang true fire. With it and more than 10 4th-grade demonic beasts, killing the refined corpses won't be difficult." Zhou nodded and said, "You have to be careful of those demonic beasts. You raised a Scarlet Feather Crow, so they might not like you." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Don't worry, they won't dare to cause trouble before we kill the refined corpses. After that, they won't have the ability to cause trouble. I'm going to help the demonic beasts deal with the refined corpses, not to be the main force. If the demonic beasts don't die, don't expect me to go all out." Soon after, Wang Daoyuan put on the black magic robe and left Jade Spring Peak, heading towards the Ghost Cave in the northwest direction. The Netherworld Cave was located over 10,000 miles east of the Mirror Gem Oasis, and it was less than 1,000 miles away from the Heaven/Mountain Range's main mountain range. The straight-line distance from the Jade Spring Peak was more than 20,000 li. Wang Daoyuan concealed himself and flew toward the Ghost Cave. Near the entrance of the Ghost Cave was a small valley that ran from east to west. It was more than 10 miles long and 2 to 3 miles wide. The entrance of the cave was in the middle of the valley. More than a dozen rank 4 demon clans south were guarding this place. Yan Hui was currently meditating on a small hill south of the valley. The other demons revealed their true forms. Some stared at the entrance of the cave, while others closed their eyes to rest. Among them, there were 3 fire-attributed demonic birds, and one of them was a fiery red sparrow with a long tail. It was at the middle of the 4th rank, and it seemed to have a bit of the Phoenix clan's bloodline. When Wang Daoyuan showed himself, the demons were shocked and were about to attack. Yan Hui spoke out, "Wait a moment, this is Brother Wang. I specially invited him to deal with the refined corpse. Brother Wang, you're really capable. If you didn't take the initiative to reveal yourself, I wouldn't have been able to discover you." Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Big Brother Yan Hui is too kind. It's been a few years since we last met. How are your injuries?" "I still have to thank Brother Wang, I've already recovered. This time, the refined corpses are on the move again. We don't have the confidence to resist them, so we can only ask Brother Wang for help again." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand, "Big Brother Yan Hui, there's no need for this. The refined corpses are the common enemy of both the human and demon clans. It's only right for me to help." Before he finished speaking, a hoarse roar came from the west. Soon after, 4 refined corpses appeared in the sky 100 miles west of the ghost cave and swooped down toward the ghost cave. Hearing the roar, the demons immediately perked up. Yan Hui took the lead and faced the rank 4 high-rank Black Tiger refined corpse. Another 3 rank 4 middle-rank demonic beasts flew into the sky and fought with the 3 rank 4 middle-rank refined corpses. The remaining 9 demonic beasts stayed in place and stared at the ghost cave, ready to attack at any time. There were still 7 refined corpses in the cave. Among them, there was 1 rank 4 high-rank refined corpse, 3 rank 4 middle-rank refined corpses, and 3 rank 4 low-rank refined corpses. The newly arrived refined corpse fought with Yan Hui and the others for less than 100 breaths of time, and a low-grade tier 4 refined corpse leaped out from the cave. The fire sparrow with the phoenix bloodline spat out a mouthful of blood-red flames. The refined corpse that had just leaped out was instantly surrounded by flames. It wanted to escape back into the ghost cave, but a black bear beside it waved its front paw and a 300-meter-long yellow bear paw shadow appeared and slapped the refined corpse away. A black mist appeared on the refined corpse's body and quickly consumed the flames. Wang Daoyuan used the vermilion bird fire control technique and waved his hand lightly, sending a pure gold spirit energy toward the refined corpse. The flames instantly became 5 to 6 times stronger and the originally blood-red flames were tinged with a hint of gold. The black mist was instantly reduced to nothingness in the flames and the refined corpse let out a mournful roar. After comprehending a lesser divine ability, the power of magic arts increased by 20%. Opponents of the same level would find it difficult to extinguish the flames, not to mention rank 4 low-rank refined corpses. A humanoid rank 4 high-rank refined corpse flew out of the ghost cave and the fire sparrow spat out flames again. The refined corpse emitted a black mist and the flames were instantly extinguished. The other demonic beasts also attacked the refined corpse with magic arts. The other refined corpses in the cave also leaped out and fought with the demonic beasts. The rank 4 high-rank refined corpse spat out a mouthful of black mist at the refined corpse surrounded by flames, wanting to extinguish the flames. Unfortunately, the flames were not ordinary and coupled with Wang Daoyuan's spirit energy, how could they be extinguished so easily? The flames were only weakened by half and still had enough killing power. The fire sparrow and the black bear pounced forward and tangled with the rank 4 high-rank refined corpse. Wang Daoyuan took out the vermilion bird fan and fanned the flames around to increase the power of the flames. After 100 breaths of time, the refined corpse that jumped out first was burned to ashes by the flames. On Yan Hui's side, the 4 demonic beasts were evenly matched against the 4 refined corpses. On the other hand, the fire sparrow and the black bear together were not a match for the rank 4 high-rank refined corpse. Even with the help of Wang Daoyuan's vermilion bird fan, the flames spat out by the fire sparrow still could not hurt the rank 4 high-rank refined corpse. The black bear was an earth attribute demonic beast and had no restraining effect on the refined corpses. It could only protect itself with a spirit energy barrier and fight with the refined corpses. 9 demonic beasts against 6 refined corpses, and with Wang Daoyuan fanning the flames, they were still at a disadvantage. The fire sparrow spoke in human language, "Daoyu, if you don't release the golden crow, we won't be able to hold on." These demonic beasts were quite well informed. If Wang Daoyuan did not put in effort, he would offend these demonic beasts. He had no choice but to release the scarlet-feathered crow. The moment the scarlet-feathered crow came out, it spat out 2 fist-sized golden fireballs at the rank 4 high-rank refined corpse. Wang Daoyuan did not stay idle either. He waved the vermilion bird fan a few times and the 2 fireballs instantly expanded to about a foot in diameter. The refined corpse wanted to dodge, but the black bear condensed 2 illusory bear paws and held it down. In the end, the 2 fireballs smashed into the rank 4 high-rank refined corpse. The golden flames instantly burned the entire body of the refined corpse, emitting a foul smell. The Scarlet Yang True Fire's restraining effect on the refined corpses was too strong. In addition, Wang Daoyuan was fanning the flames from the side. The rank 4 high-rank refined corpse used all its strength, but it still could not extinguish the flames. Just as it was about to attack Wang Daoyuan immediately hid. It knew that it would not be able to escape, so it used all its strength to kill the rank 4 low-rank demonic beasts. This was something that Wang Daoyuan was happy to see. He did not stop it and continued to fan the vermilion bird fan. The refined corpse displayed its might and killed 3 rank 4 low-rank demonic beasts in a row. The black bear kept the refined corpse at the side. In the end, its heart was crushed by the refined corpse. After the rank 4 high-rank refined corpse killed the black bear, its strength was exhausted and it could no longer fight. Soon, it was burned to ashes. There were still 5 demonic beasts and 5 refined corpses left. In addition to Wang Daoyuan and the scarlet feathered crow, they clearly had the upper hand. The refined corpses wanted to escape back to the ghost cave, but the scarlet feathered crow turned into a golden sun and blocked the entrance. This sun had a diameter of 3 meters, which was only slightly smaller than the entrance. The scarlet feathered crow's flames had just burned the rank 4 high-rank refined corpse. The other refined corpses did not dare to touch it and could not return to the cave. The refined corpses were also decisive and immediately retreated to the west. Chapter 595. Wang Daoyuan drew a wisp of flame from the scarlet feathered crow and injected fire attribute spiritual energy into it, turning it into a vermilion bird with a wingspan of 30 meters. He controlled the vermilion bird to chase after the refined corpses. The demons blocking the entrance to the ghost cave were all either lightly or heavily injured. He only wanted to chase the refined corpses away to protect his territory and his life. After seeing how difficult it was to deal with the refined corpses, he didn't dare to chase after them. Dozens of miles to the west, Yan Hui was fighting against 4 newly arrived refined corpses with 3 mid-grade rank 4 demonic beasts. The 4 refined corpses attacked with all their might, wanting to cooperate with the 5 that escaped to take down Yan Hui. Wang Daoyuan's vermilion bird was naturally faster than the refined corpses and quickly caught up with a mid-grade rank 4 wolf refined corpse. The vermilion bird wrapped the refined corpse with its wings and the entire refined corpse started to burn. The refined corpse emitted a black mist, but it had no effect on the scarlet golden flames. Yan Hui naturally wouldn't wait at the same spot. He turned into a black flaming tiger that was 30 meters long and covered in black flames. With a tiger roar, the black flames turned into a towering wave of fire that covered the black tiger refined corpse. The black tiger refined corpse naturally didn't dare to take it head-on and immediately retreated. Yan Hui took the opportunity to escape and the other 3 mid-grade rank 4 demons also used their own methods to get rid of their opponents. The black tiger refined corpse looked at the refined corpse wrapped in scarlet golden flames and knew that it wouldn't be able to withstand the flames. It brought the remaining refined corpses and fled to the west. The abandoned wolf demon corpse fell to the ground and was quickly burned to ashes. Yan Hui and the other 3 demons were also heavily injured and couldn't chase after them. This time, they had killed 1 high-grade, 1 middle-grade, and 1 low-grade refined corpse each. The demonic beasts had lost 3 low-grade 4th-grade corpses and 1 middle-grade 4th-grade corpses. The demons were all injured and Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to face the 8 refined corpses alone, so he gave up on chasing after them. At this moment, the black tiger refined corpse sent a message, "I have no enmity with my little friend. Why do you keep ruining my plans?" Wang Daoyuan was shocked. He originally thought that these refined corpses were controlled by someone. Now that he saw it, it was true. Furthermore, this consciousness came from the black tiger refined corpse. With the refined corpse's little bit of intelligence, it couldn't even understand the content of this sentence, let alone transmit it through divine sense. Even if someone was controlling it, it still wouldn't be enough. Since this refined corpse was able to transmit its voice, it could only mean that there was a relatively intelligent soul in its body. Among the methods that Wang Daoyuan knew, only the doppelganger soul nurturing technique could achieve this. In addition, the underworld water droplet that he took out last time contained a trace of fright soul. It was very similar to the soul clone nurturing technique. From this, he concluded that the person behind the refined corpses had most likely practiced the doppelganger soul nurturing technique. As for who this person was, he had some guesses in his heart, but he didn't dare to confirm. He sent a telepathic message to probe, "Who are you?" The black tiger refined corpse replied, "Since the underworld pearl is in your hands, my inheritance should also be in your hands. Don't you know who I am?" Although Wang Daoyuan had already guessed it, he was still extremely shocked. The 10,000 Corpse Taoist was a famous figure from several thousand years ago. But after several thousand years, even if the 10,000 Corpse Taoist broke through to the Yuanying stage, it was impossible for him to live until now. In the underworld water droplet that he took out from Yan Hui's body, the wisp of soul seemed to have been separated from a ghost's soul. In other words, the 10,000 Corpse Taoist was very likely to have walked the path of ghost cultivation. Ghost cultivators were cultivators whose lifespan had yet to run out. After a cultivator died and didn't find a suitable body to possess, there was a very small chance that they would turn into a ghost cultivator if they had a ghost cultivation technique. Of course, only cultivators at the Violet Palace realm and above would have a chance to turn into a ghost cultivator. The soul of a Violet Palace realm cultivator wasn't strong enough, and the possibility of turning into a ghost cultivator was very low. The soul below the Violet Palace realm was too weak, and there was no chance at all. Ghost cultivators were also considered a path of cultivation permitted by heaven and earth. They could also cultivate to become immortals, but the possibility was very small. Ghost cultivators weren't considered living beings, so they naturally didn't have an upper limit to their lifespan and wouldn't die of old age. But every 500 years, they would have to undergo heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, the heavenly tribulation would be stronger each time. Unless they cultivated to become a ghost immortal or were struck to death, the heavenly tribulation would never end, even if they were hidden in a secret realm. However, the underworld's secret realm was a little special. Legend had it that the underworld's secret realm was the intersection of the yin and yang realms. If a ghost cultivator stayed in a place like this, it could be considered as staying in the yin realm. It was hard to say whether there would be a heavenly tribulation. Of course, there were also ways to avoid the heavenly tribulation. There were some special spiritual items that could conceal the secrets of heaven. If a ghost cultivator hid in them, there wouldn't be a heavenly tribulation. Apart from that, there were also some secret techniques that could destroy one's cultivation and lower one's cultivation to the Violet Palace realm. If a ghost cultivator couldn't conceal the secrets of heaven, what they would attract wouldn't be a heavenly tribulation, but a heavenly punishment. Wang Daoyuan transmitted his voice, "The refined corpses are causing chaos among the demon beasts, and they are all running towards the south of the mountain. The human race has suffered great losses. Can't your refined corpses run to other places? If they're not going to the south, they're going to the east. They'll always affect the human race's territory. You're deliberately going against the human race, so I have no choice but to stand up and kill the refined corpses." The black tiger refined corpse transmitted his voice again, "All right, I won't go to the east or south. If you interfere in this matter again, I'll personally kill you." The demons and half-demons were in the west and north. If the refined corpses went there and killed the demons and half-demons, it would make space for the human race. The demon's spiritual senses were far inferior to his, so they didn't notice his voice transmission. After the refined corpses were far away, Yan Hui smiled. "Brother Wang, I'll have to trouble you to treat my injuries again. It's fine. As long as there's no underworld water droplet, it won't take much effort. With that, he put away the vermilion bird's projection and drew out a wisp of life spiritual fire. He continuously injected spiritual energy into it, causing the flames to grow rapidly. He took out the vermilion bird fan and controlled the flames to heal all the demons that were still alive. The demons' injuries were all black, and they were ordinary injuries. It only took 15 minutes for the treatment to be completed. The fire sparrow transformed into a red-robed man and walked to Wang Daoyuan. He cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, Daoyu, for helping the demon race fend off the enemy and heal our injuries. Previously, you forced my sister to make an agreement between the human race and the demon race, as well as the matter of raising spirit beasts. I won't trouble you anymore. The agreement between the human race and the demon race should be that the golden core cultivators of the human race and the demon race would not participate in the battle between those below the golden core level." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "That agreement is beneficial to both the human race and the demon race, and it will prevent a big conflict. As for the matter of raising spirit beasts, these spirit beasts that I raised were all saved by me. I saved them and made them work for me. Is there a problem? Don't you demons also raise humans as slaves and servants? Otherwise, where did the half-demons come from?" Yan Hui came out to smooth things over. Brother Wang's words make sense. We demons also pay attention to gratitude. Since he saved those demons, it's only right that they listen to his orders. I feel that Brother Wang's agreement with the demon race is not bad. He has done a great favor for us demons, and it's understandable that the Wang family occupies some territory in the heaven/mountain range. Even if the rank 4 combatants of both sides don't attack, the casualties can be reduced. As for the battles below rank 4, it's good to fight more and eliminate some useless low-level demons. It's also to prevent too many demons from causing insufficient resources. The low-level demons fight all day and even threaten our territory. At that time, we have no choice but to drive them away and attack the human race's territory. Once both sides really fight, it's inevitable that we, the rank 4 demons, will have casualties. In the beast tide more than 500 years ago, the human race suffered heavy casualties. Didn't our demon race suffer the same? Until now, the number of rank 4 demons is less than 1/3 of the number before the beast tide. The other demons also nodded in agreement. The red-robed man that the fire sparrow transformed into also had no objections. Yan Hui's words made Wang Daoyuan feel very novel. It was the first time he heard of this reason for the beast tide. In this way, as long as enough low-level demons were killed, the beast tide was not unavoidable. Yan Hui asked again, "How should we deal with this ghost cave? If we leave it, it will still be a big problem when we refine corpses in the future. Why don't we settle it once and for all? Brother Wang has many methods. I wonder if there's any way to completely settle the ghost cave?" Chapter 596. Wang Daoyuan answered, "It's hard to say. I don't know what's going on inside the ghost cave, so it's better to check it out first." At this point, the golden crow had already retracted its divine ability and left the ghost cave. However, the yin qi inside the ghost cave was extremely dense, so Wang Daoyuan did not dare to enter recklessly. He released more than 100 second-order mid-grade soul-chasing bees into the ghost cave to check out the situation. The yin qi inside the ghost cave originated from the underground yin vein, so it was pure yin qi that would not directly harm living creatures. Wang Daoyuan understood the situation inside the ghost cave through the connection between the soul-chasing bees and the soul-chasing bees. After the soul-chasing bees entered the cave, there was a winding tunnel that extended more than 4,000 feet underground. At the end of the tunnel was the ghost cave. The ghost cave was very spacious, occupying more than 100 mu. There was a huge crack that ran through the entire cave, which was more than 1 zhang wide. Dense yin qi gushed out from the crack, and its density was comparable to that of a mid-grade fourth-order spiritual vein. There was nothing else in the cave, except for some traces left behind by refined corpses. Wang Daoyuan recalled the soul-chasing bees and said, "The ghost cave is more than 4,000 feet underground, and there is a crack in the yin vein. Normally, to deal with this kind of cave, we can block the crack in the yin vein and connect it to the spiritual vein. We can also dig out all the rock layers above the cave and use the sun to suppress the yin qi. However, this cave is more than 4,000 feet deep from the ground and the underground lava, so it's not easy to walk through. Blocking it is not much use. If we can block it, they can open it. The ghost cave is already empty, so let's go down and check it out before making a decision." Seeing that the soul-chasing bees could return alive, the monsters were not worried anymore. 3 monsters were left to guard the top, while the others entered the ghost cave. After entering the cave, Wang Daoyuan checked the rock walls. The rock had been nourished by yin qi for many years, and its hardness was comparable to a low-grade third-order blacksmithing material. It was not suitable for blacksmithing, but it could be used to build a fort. The rock's hardness was not high, but if they were to do something underground, they would have to break through several hundred feet of rock layers. If a low-grade third-order blacksmithing material were to break through several hundred feet, it would be a little scary. If he used the dust-returning flame, it would not be a problem. However, Wang Daoyuan did not want to expose his spiritual fire so casually. If he wanted to dig through the rock wall, he could only use magic to smash it. In such an environment, it would be difficult to deal with the netherworld cave once and for all. Another way was to find underground water veins. Draw the water vein over, just like the Gui water nether spring, and bring the yin qi out. If this method could be realized, there would be a river at the entrance of the ghost cave in the future. Just like the profound yin market, it would become a gathering place for evil cultivators. At that time, it would attract a large number of heretical cultivators and let them slowly exhaust the demonic beasts. The yin qi here was thick. The rocks had been nurtured for many years, so it was difficult for one's divine sense to penetrate them. One had to rely on the spirit-seeking compass to find water veins. Wang Daoyuan took out the spirit-seeking compass and activated it. Spiritual light entered the rock wall to search for water nearby. There were many rivers in the heavenly/mountain range, so it was not difficult to find underground water veins. There were 3 water veins in the vicinity of the netherworld cavern, and the closest one was over 100 zhang underground. Upon discovering the water vein, Wang Daoyuan's face lit up with joy. Yan Hui quickly asked, "Brother Wang, have you thought of a way?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "I have indeed thought of a way. Since we can't seal the yin vein, we can bring the yin qi out. There is a very large underground water vein 100 zhang underground. As long as we open the underground water vein, the water will gush out and fill up the netherworld cavern. At that time, a river will flow out of the netherworld cavern, and all the yin qi will be brought out. When the cavern is filled with water, there will be no need to worry about refined corpses hiding here." All the demonic beasts nodded in agreement. Wang Daoyuan marked the place on the ground where they were going to start. "Dig 100 zhang underground from here and you will find the underground water vein." A muscular man in brown armor stood out. "If you want to talk about this, I will be in high spirits." This guy was a pangolin-type demonic beast with a cultivation base of the 4th stage. Although his strength was not high, when it came to digging holes, no one could compare with him. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "What a coincidence, with King Pashan here, it won't take much effort to dig 100 zhang deep hole." He revealed his original form, which was a pangolin more than 30 zhang long. After a while, his body shrunk to 20 zhang long, and his 2 front claws flashed with cold light. His whole body flashed with brown light, and then he turned into a whirlwind, spinning on the rock stratum. After 200 breaths, a hole with a diameter of 3 zhang and a depth of more than 30 zhang was dug out in the rock stratum. King Pashan panted and said, "This rock stratum is really hard, it is so difficult for me to break through it with my rock-breaking divine ability. I have used too much spiritual power, let me rest for a while." The hole was not far from the crack where the yin qi was gushing out. There were also small cracks in the rock stratum, and pure yin qi was seeping out. Wang Daoyuan felt a fluctuation similar to divine sense in this pure yin qi. Near the fourth stage spirit vein, there was likely to be heaven and earth treasures. He jumped into the hole and carefully examined the place where the divine sense fluctuation was coming from. There were many small cracks here. He drew out a wisp of flame from the red-feathered crow and used the vermilion bird fire manipulation technique, and the flame instantly soared. The flame seeped into the cracks of the rock stratum, and the pure yang qi in it constantly consumed the pure yin qi in the rock stratum. After burning for 10 minutes, Wang Daoyuan used the earth-splitting technique to forcibly shatter the rock stratum. After a quarter of an hour, he finally broke through the 50 zhang deep rock stratum. Behind the rock stratum, there was a small space about 3 feet square, which was connected to the yin qi crack. There was a strange flower growing in the small space. The whole plant was only 1 foot tall, and it had 7 pitch-black leaves that were shaped like human hands. On top of it was a blood-red flower about 6 inches in diameter, with 7 petals. On each petal, there was a looming ghost face, and the ghost face was exuding a power similar to divine sense. The alchemy inheritance that Wang Daoyuan exchanged from the underworld sect came from the 100 spirits' true lord. There were many records of these strange spirit plants. This spirit plant was called the 7-leaf ghost face flower, and it could grow into a 5th-grade spirit plant. Of course, the one in front of him was only a 4th-grade spirit plant. The precious part of the 7-leaf ghost face flower was its petals. After the flower bloomed, if the surrounding yin qi was dense enough, each petal would condense a drop of flower dew every 100 years. After consuming this flower dew, it could strengthen one's divine sense cultivation and also restore the power of one's divine sense. Moreover, after consuming it, there was no need to refine it. It could restore one's divine sense in half a cup of tea's time. With Wang Daoyuan's current divine sense cultivation, even if his divine sense was exhausted, he only needed a drop of flower dew to completely restore it. After the flower dew drops, it would be stored in the core of the flower to nourish the seeds. The seeds needed 1,000 years to mature, and during this 1,000 years, the flower would always be in a blooming state. If too much flower dew was used, it would cause the seeds to mature later. However, the flower couldn't always bloom. If the seeds couldn't mature after 2,000 years, the flowers would wither, and the seeds wouldn't be able to survive. A 7-leaf ghost face flower could grow 7 seeds. When the seeds matured, they would absorb all the essence of the spirit plant, and the plant would wither. The seeds had the effect of repairing the soul, but unfortunately it couldn't repair the divine sense. Wang Daoyuan had the ink jade lotus, so he didn't care about this function. The seeds of the 7-leaf ghost face flower also needed 1,000 years from germination to blooming. This ghost face flower had very little flower dew in the core, so it should have just bloomed. In the space of the spirit pearl, the concentration of pure yin qi near the Gui water hell flame was not lower than the ghost cave, so it shouldn't be a problem to grow the 7-leaf ghost face flower. Coupled with the more than 42 times faster flow of time, it would only take a little more than 2 years to harvest 7 drops of flower dew. Moreover, the flow of time in the space of the spirit pearl was gradually accelerating. In the future, if he could reproduce more, he wouldn't have to worry about using his divine sense too quickly. This 7-leaf ghost face flower must be obtained, even if he had to pay a price. Chapter 597. Wang Daoyuan said, "Daoyu, I have a use for this flower, so I won't share it with you." I can use other things to compensate you. What do you think, Dao Yu? Yan Hui waved his hand. You just helped us a lot, and you found this flower, so you can just keep it. You humans know how to refine pills and grow these spiritual herbs. If we take it, we'll just eat it in one bite. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, everyone has a share, so I have to compensate you, Dao Yu. Especially King Pashan, Dao Yu, he put a lot of effort into digging this hole. I don't have anything good on me, so I'll compensate you, Dao Yu, with some spiritual wine. Demon beasts had strong bodies, especially the larger ones. Their alcohol tolerance was generally much higher than humans of the same level. There were many demon beasts that liked to drink, and they especially liked to drink strong wine. But generally, demon beasts didn't have high intelligence and didn't know how to brew wine. Rank 4 demon beasts had enough intelligence, but unfortunately, the materials for rank 4 spiritual wine were not easy to find. Therefore, these demon beasts usually had a hard time drinking spiritual wine. Wang Daoyuan still had hundreds of jars of drunken dragon wine in the space of the spirit pearl. Even the 12th uncle, the drunkard, found this wine too strong. Moreover, drunken dragon wine was not a unique wine recipe of the Wang family. It was widely spread in the entire cultivation world, so there was no need to be afraid of taking out a few thousand-years-old wine. The main ingredient of drunken dragon wine, drunken dragon grass, was a rank 3 spiritual plant. Unfortunately, the supplementary ingredients were not very good. It needed to be stored for 100 years to reach the level of rank 3 spiritual wine. If it wanted to reach rank 4 spiritual wine, it needed to be stored for 1,000 years in a cellar with extremely abundant spiritual qi. However, Wang Daoyuan happened to have this condition. Now, he still had more than 40 jars of drunken dragon wine that were more than 1,000 years old. Rank 4 spiritual wine was also very beneficial to these rank 4 demon beasts. Wang Daoyuan took out 20 jars of 1,000-year-old drunken dragon wine and said with a smile, when I explored the cave of the ancient cultivator, I obtained some spiritual wine. King Pashan helped dig the hole and took 4 jars. The other Dao Yu will get 2 jars each. What do you think? All the demons were somewhat tempted. Even if they didn't like to drink, they could take it out to exchange for spiritual items with other demons. The value of tier 4 spiritual wine wasn't low. However, they did not speak. Instead, they looked at Yan Hui, waiting for him to speak. Yan Hui smiled and said, since that's the case, we'll take advantage of Brother Wang. As soon as he opened his mouth, the others smiled and took the drunken dragon wine. Another demon took 6 jars of wine and gave them to the brothers guarding above. Wang Daoyuan took out his white tiger blade and cut off all the rocks around the 7-leaf ghost-faced flower. Then, he kept them in his spiritual pearl. Doppelganger Tu Yuming dug a hole near the Gui water nether flames and buried the ghost-faced flower along with the stone. Then, he left the pit. King Pashan drank a mouthful of drunken dragon wine and quickly recovered his spiritual power. He continued to dig. With the help of the spirit wine, King Pashan's digging speed became much faster. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the underground water vein was dug through. The underground water vein was extremely abundant, and the pit that King Pashan dug was also relatively large. As soon as the pit was dug through, a water column with a diameter of 3 meters gushed out from the ground. This amount of water could produce tens of thousands of kilograms of water in one breath. Not long after, the ghost cave would be filled and the water would flow out of the cave. After achieving their goal, everyone quickly left the ghost cave. After returning to the surface, Wang Daoyuan bid farewell to the demons and kept the red-winged crow back into the spiritual pearl. Then, he concealed himself and flew towards the south. Not long after, he suddenly sensed Doppelganger Zhengping. Doppelganger Zhengping was a Violet Palace realm cultivator. He subdued the living corpse in the Heavenly Fiend gold mine in the Blood Demon City. Later, he sent Zheng Ping to explore the path that the 10,000 Corpse spiritual master used to cross the sky/mountain range. There had been no news of him in the past few decades, and Wang Daoyuan could not determine his specific location. A few years ago, Wang Daoyuan sensed that Zheng Ping had died. Of course, he was a living corpse when he was alive. Death was nothing. He only had a refined corpse clone and could still maintain his spiritual consciousness. Wang Daoyuan no longer had any hope for doppelganger Zheng Ping. He did not expect to sense its existence here. He used his panoramic perception on Zheng Ping and pried into his memories. Zheng Ping's current location was more than 13,000 kilometers east of Wang Daoyuan. At this distance, he should be east of the sky-beheading mountain range. He followed the route left behind by the 10,000 Corpse spiritual master and entered an underground karst cave. There were many forks in the karst cave. He relied on his refining skills to refine a compass to determine the direction and walked all the way to the east. After several years, he walked out of the karst cave and arrived at a small river valley. A small river flowed towards the northeast. He followed the stream downstream, and the stream eventually merged into a large river. Then, he entered a relatively flat area. This was a huge river valley. The valley was mainly flat land with some small mountains. There were many half-demons living in the river valley. Some of the spiritual mountains even had half-demon tribes or clans. Zheng Ping did not see any human forces there. There were a few humans who were raised in the half-demon tribes. However, there were no experts among the half-demons. The strongest was only in the late-stage Violet Palace realm. The strangest thing was that there were clouds in this valley that did not dissipate all year round. These clouds also had the effect of blocking one's divine sense. Even with the divine sense of a late-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator, he could only sense a few hundred meters away at noon where the clouds were the thinnest. At dawn, when the clouds were the thickest, he could not even sense a few hundred meters away. After several years of searching, he found the place where the clouds were the thickest. This place was in the north of the entire river valley. There was a mountain range that ran east-west. There was a high-grade Tier 4 spirit vein in the mountain. Zheng Ping took the risk and entered the clouds to explore. He found a group of dilapidated palaces there. The clouds were surging out from these palaces. He entered the palaces to investigate. At the edge of the palaces, he found a stone memorial arch. On it was written, Valley of Beasts Purple Gold River Branch Hall. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Valley of Beasts was on par with the Divine Weapon Pavilion and other top forces. They were ordered by the Ancient Almighty to guard the sky-beheading mountain range and protect the human territory. However, the spirit Qi in Xiaofan gradually declined. The upper limit of the cultivator's cultivation became lower and lower. The advantage of the demon beasts' longer lifespans became apparent. In the end, the Valley of Beasts was destroyed by the demon beasts. Although many inheritances were spread out, there were no more forces that could compare to the Valley of Beasts. Ever since Wang Daoyuan heard about the Valley of Beasts, he paid more attention to collecting information about the Valley of Beasts. The Five Elements spiritual master had mentioned the Valley of Beasts in his Beiyuan records. There was no need to talk about the strength of this sect. Its inheritances were comparable to the current four top forces. In addition, it raised all kinds of spirit beasts with extraordinary bloodlines. Its strength was naturally not weak. It was said that around the year 10,000 of the Beiyuan calendar, there were still pure-blooded divine beasts in the Valley of Beasts. However, there was a strange place in the Valley of Beasts. That was, no one knew where the mountain gate was. Even the four top forces did not know the details of the Valley of Beasts. When the other forces interacted with the Valley of Beasts, they only went to the Valley of Beasts branch. For example, the current 10,000 Dragon Mountain was the most famous branch of the Valley of Beasts, the 10,000 Dragon Branch. Most of the dragon species in the 10,000 Dragon Mountain were the bloodlines left behind by the Valley of Beasts spirit beasts. He did not expect to encounter a branch of the Valley of Beasts in the east of the sky/mountain range. After Zheng Ping entered the Valley of Beasts branch, he discovered that there were traces of fighting everywhere. There were broken palaces, array foundations, and some bones that had long decayed. There were also many incomplete bones of humans and demon beasts. The Valley of Beasts had been destroyed by the demon race. These traces should have been left behind by the demon race after the Valley of Beasts had declined. Zheng Ping explored the depths of the palaces and discovered that there were still incomplete array formations that could still be used. These places should be the core areas of the Valley of Beasts branch. The array formations were more advanced and had not been completely destroyed by the demon beasts. Some of the buildings were still intact, and the array formations were also relatively intact. This time, Wang Daoyuan was also a little excited. When the Valley of Beasts was destroyed, it should have been about 50,000 years ago. At that time, Beijing Xiuxian not only had Yuanying cultivators, but also soul formation cultivators. These places that had not been destroyed might still have high-grade spiritual items that could assist in breaking through to the Yuanying stage. Chapter 598. Since 10,000 years ago, Beiyuan Xiuxian no longer had a Stage 5 spirit vein. The four top factions relied on the Stage 5 spiritual items they had accumulated to continue to break through to the Yuanying realm. About 10,000 years ago, when the various countries were fighting for hegemony, these Stage 5 spiritual items were used up, and no human cultivators broke through to the Yuanying realm. 50,000 years ago, soul formation cultivators were the stabilizing force, and Yuanying cultivators could only be considered as high-end combat power. This Purple Gold River branch had to have a Yuanying cultivator overseeing it. A place with Yuanying cultivators had a high chance of having a Stage 5 spiritual item. Zheng Ping's clone had the same thought. He relied on his understanding of array formations, and these remaining array formations were full of flaws to enter. He really found some remaining spiritual items, but unfortunately, he triggered the restriction when he took them. If not for the fact that the restriction was severely damaged and had been used up for tens of thousands of years, Zheng Ping would have been killed by the restriction. Even so, he was still trapped in the array formation. In the end, his lifespan was exhausted and he became a refined corpse. Until now, he still could not escape from the array formation. Wang Daoyuan was less than 500 miles away from the sky/mountain range's main vein. He had never been so close before. He was always more than 15,000 miles away from Zheng Ping in a straight line. It was beyond the range of the panoramic perception clone, so he did not notice Zheng Ping's situation. Now that he knew about the Purple Gold River branch's situation, he naturally could not ignore it. Even if there were no Stage 5 spiritual items, it was not a big deal. How could a top faction's branch lack good items? Even if it had been plundered by the demonic beasts, cultivation techniques, spells, refining materials, and other items that were useless to the demonic beasts but useful to the human race could still be preserved. Zheng Ping did not explore the Purple Gold River Valley too much. However, he had obtained some information from the indigenous half-demons. The Purple Gold River flowed from the west to the east into the Turtle Dragon Sea. The entire Purple Gold River Valley spanned 40,000 to 50,000 miles from east to west. Moreover, the mouth of the Purple Gold River was still accumulating sand and expanding into the sea. As for the width, the entire valley became wider as it went east. The widest part was more than 20,000 miles, and the average width was more than 10,000 miles. The entire territory of the Zijin River Valley was much larger than that of South Yen County, and the quality of the spirit veins was much higher. Not to mention other things, even Yannan County couldn't compare to the level 4 high-grade non-elemental spirit vein in the Purple Gold River branch. If the Wang clan could migrate a portion of their clansmen over and have a Golden Core realm cultivator to oversee the situation, they would be able to gain a firm foothold in no time. There wasn't a complicated network of relationships over there. It would only take a few hundred years for them to dominate the entire Zijin River Valley. As for the half-demons, as long as the clansmen could reproduce quickly enough, they could all be assimilated. He could discuss the migration of the clansmen with his fifth great-uncle and the others when he was free. Although the matter of the Zijin River branch and the Zijin River Valley was important, it wasn't worth Wang Daoyuan taking the risk himself. Besides, it wasn't like he didn't have any subordinates he could use. Now that the matter at the Netherworld Cave had been settled, the soul-devouring doppelganger had been freed up. He could now go to the Purple Gold River Branch Hall to think of a solution. His minor divine ability contained some spatial laws. He might be able to bypass the array formation of the Purple Gold River branch and take out the spiritual items inside. Wang Daoyuan sent the soul-devouring doppelganger to the Purple Gold River branch and reaped as many benefits as he could. If he didn't obtain any benefits from the Purple Gold River branch, he could also explore the valley and lay a foundation for the clan to take root here in the future. After arranging the soul-devouring doppelganger, Wang Daoyuan left the heavenly/mountain range and returned to the Jade Spring Peak. He had solved a major problem and reached an agreement with Yan Hui and the others. Yan Hui was a level 4 high-grade demon. Even if he wasn't considered a top expert among the demon clans, he still had some say. His words had some weight. In the future, the Wang clan and the administrator's residence could develop the heavenly/mountain range without worry. After returning to the Jade Spring Peak, he went straight to the executive hall. The third brother and Wang Mingshan were handling matters here. Wang Daoyuan went straight to the point. The ordinary clansmen that the clan moved back from the heavenly/mountain range can be moved back. The various industries in the Fallen Dragon Ridge should also be restored as soon as possible. The third brother, Wang Daochang, was pleasantly surprised. The matter has been resolved? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, previously, it was the Shanbei refined corpse that caused the demon beasts to run amok and threaten the Fallen Dragon Ridge. Now, I have helped the demon clans chase away the refined corpse. I have also reached an agreement with the demon clans. Human Golden Core and Level 4 demons are not allowed to participate in the battle between those below the Golden Core stage. The third brother was overjoyed. In this way, the heavenly/mountain range will really become our Wang clan's back garden. Without level 4 demon beasts, the flying warships and various spirit talismans and array formations will not be difficult to kill the demon clans. After a few hundred years, there won't be many demon beasts in the heavenly/mountain range. Wang Daoyuan shook his head. We can't be too hasty. Our Wang clan's current strength is still too weak to suppress the demon clans. If we kill all the demons below level 4 now, those level 4 demons are not fools. They will definitely stop us from continuing to expand. It's better to do it step by step and slowly expand. By the time they realize that something is wrong, our Wang clan will no longer be afraid of anything. The third brother nodded. Alright then, let's slowly devour the heavenly/mountain range and slowly strengthen the clan. Wang Daoyuan took out a copy of the mind map and handed it to the third brother. This is the mind map I got from the Zhao clan. There is a level 3 superior grade silver light mystic iron mine south of the Fallen Dragon Ridge. It can be developed now. The clan will send trustworthy people over to arrange the mining matters. If we can excavate this mine, the clan will no longer have to worry about the materials for level 3 flying warships. The third brother took the mine map and was so excited that he couldn't speak. Wang Daoyuan smiled as he left the executive hall and returned to the cave abode under the earth fire chamber. Zhou Wan saw him return with a happy expression and asked, "You are all smiles. Did something good happen?" The refined corpse at the Netherworld cave has been dealt with. Yan Hui has acknowledged my agreement with the demon clans. The clan can expand to the heavenly/mountain range without worry. This is 3 consecutive good things. Why don't we celebrate properly? Before he finished speaking, Zhou Wan's Hall Master token flashed. Wang Daoyuan's face fell immediately. The level of these messengers was not low. They specially sent a message at this time. Zhou Wan checked and said with a smile, the Netherworld sect is going to be angry. Those Zhao clan cultivators from the northern part of the mountain are making a big move again. They are leading a group of old clan cultivators and some itinerant cultivators to an industry in the eastern part of the Darkwater Commandery. That industry seems to be a level 4 infernal mystic crystal mine. The mystic crystals it produces are very important to heretic cultivators. The pure yin qi it contains can be used for cultivation and also for refining weapons. This is the lifeblood of the Netherworld sect. Luo Jiuyo should be angry now. The mystic crystal mine was second only to the Darkwater River in importance to the Netherworld sect. It was also the foundation of the sect. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, this is 4 consecutive good things. We should celebrate. But don't worry. Luo Jiuyo will send a message soon and ask me to bring people to help. After all, the easternmost part of the Darkwater Commandery is only 10,000 miles away from the Jinyan city. Sure enough, after a quarter of an hour, he received a message from Luo Jiuyo, asking him to bring people to support the mystic crystal mine. Wang Daoyuan naturally agreed and sent a message back, I have begun to gather people. Then he said with a smile, the Netherworld sect is anxious. Luo Jiuyo is really desperate. He even asked me to help. Zhou Wan said with disdain, why did you lie to him and gather people if you don't help? Aren't you afraid that Luo Jiuyo will let his guard down and let the Zhao clan take advantage of him? Wang Daoyuan said with an innocent face, Luo Jiuyo is not a fool. He begged me just because he wants to get lucky. He can't really count on me. Besides, I didn't lie to him. Wouldn't it take time to gather people? I didn't promise when to help. It's normal to spend 8 to 10 years to gather people for a war in the cultivation world. Aren't we also gathering people? If you give birth to a baby, you will gather people. If you travel 10,000 miles to help, you will need at least 180 cultivators, right? You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.